Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear me now.
You sound sexy on the microphone.
I know, I've got a chocolatey voice on my microphone. Good evening, Gladies and Potties. Does anyone have a favourite chocolate? Or a chocolate they're currently...
My favourite chocolate is Lint's Intense Orange.
Intense Orange. I quite like the Lindt sea salt. Have you tried that?
I have. Jury's out. I'm not quite sure.
Ah.
Maybe it's as good
They
or...
put salt in the chocolate.
Sea salt, not just any salt.
Oh,
It's kosher and from the ocean.
And it's a little bit crunchy.
What's
A little bit crunchy.
Is non-sea salt not kosher?
Duh. I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's non-kosher.
How could it be non-kosher?
I don't know. Maybe they have to do certain things to their salt before they're allowed to eat it.
Not allowed to get salt from the earth.
Yeah, it might just be that. It might have to be sea salt. Are you guys picking up the squeaking of my chair?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop pedaling. I'm actually on an exercise bike right now. For the listeners back. And black and greens are my favourite chocolate in general.
Black and greens are very nice.
Not only they taste
fair
delicious, but fair trade and organic. So you also get that self-righteous kind of moral high as well.
They do a good orange chocolate as well.
Yep.
I do prefer the Lindt though, myself. I like mine a little bit exploitative. Bit of a guilty pleasure.
Yeah. It really drives home the guilty pleasure idea, doesn't it? Multiple
James
levels. Yeah, I wonder if they're going to keep expanding into like candy bars or something.
What, Lindt?
No, black and green. Or do you think they're going to stay the block?
They're probably owned by Coca-Cola or someone.
Probably. And they have like one fair trade worker. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it black and green or green? It's green and black.
oh, green and black. Sorry.
Shit.
Green and black. Oh, the people that paid me to say that will be very disappointed that I got their branding wrong.
It's not Coca-Cola, it's Kraft who owns green and blacks. Kraft.
Get the fuck out, really? Kraft owns them.
Correct. UK-based chocolate company owned by Kraft Foods. The company produces a range of chocolate bars, ice creams, biscuits, hot chocolate. There you go.
I had no idea.
Principal manufacturing sites in the Poland and Italy.
Poland and Italy. Okay.
Founded in 1991 by Craig Sams and his wife, Josephine Fairley.
So were they bought out by Kraft?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
It gets its fair trade reputation because it began purchasing fair trade cocoa from Maya in Belize
Oh.
for the Maya Gold chocolate bar.
Yeah, I do like that one.
There you go.
It's got a bit of a earthy text. Or not texture, taste. I don't like my food with earthy textures.
You don't like, Pinot Noir or Champagne? It's nice.
Well, I don't mind.
Flavors.
I don't mind if they got earthy flavours, but not earthy texture.
Oh, okay. Right.
Like gravel or dirt or sand. So, keeping with the fair trade discussion, I'm looking at my next pair of shoes, getting a pair of fair trade shoes.
And what constitutes fair trade shoes? They just pay the person that makes them.
Yeah, as opposed to not paying them.
That's an interesting concept.
They should have a new name for that.
What? What do you mean? Or do you mean it shouldn't be fair trade? Everything else should be branded unfair trade?
No. But isn't that... What does fair trade mean? Isn't fair trade the old idea about, not screwing people over with trading?
You're thinking globalisation and the arguments.
Yeah, like you should buy an Australian-made pair of shoes.
Right.
I don't think that's what it is.
I think by definition, if it was an Australian-made pair, it would be fair trade as well. Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you're buying from a country that doesn't have a free trade agreement.
Look, I think...
I don't know. What does free trade mean these days?
Free trade or fair trade?
Fair trade.
I think free trade is the opposite of fair trade. Well, not technically, but in reality.
What's Bob Catter always going about? He's like, I want to get rid of the free trade agreement with the US and stuff.
I can never follow what Cat is talking about.
That's because we sell our wheat and shit into America without any taxes or duties, but they subsidize all their farming produce. The government pays like 50% of all corn that's produced in the US. So the government farmers in the US get paid a subsidy from the government, which makes their product cheaper than it is for the Australian farmers to produce their product.
Yeah, produced locally.
Yeah.
But that also supports the whole petroleum industry as well, doesn't it?
Well,
That's one of the reasons why it's so subsidised in the States, isn't it?
Yeah, because a lot of their corn manufacture goes into ethanol production.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but they have just so much corn. You
Yeah.
guys heard about corn just destroyed America, apparently, because everyone's having corn-based products that are just making people really fat.
And sick.
Yeah.
And then you got the healthcare problem.
Yeah.
But that's making people money.
That's making people money.
Because they don't have a healthcare. If they had like a Medicare scheme, then they'd be fucked. Because they'd be having to treat everyone, but they don't.
Exactly. I mean, that's why it's never going to change. Because the farmers are making money from the corn. The company's making money by using a cheaper product, which is corn. And the medical companies are making money by, having to treat all these sick people. It's, it's
And
great
the
for
oil
economy.
industry's making money.
Yeah.
Well, I think, as a sign of protest, perhaps we should occupy a space within Manhattan that would, really symbolise our...
But we won't actually think about what we have to say, so no one knows what we're actually trying to communicate.
Well, no, I think it should be kind of open source protest where anyone can just do whatever they want, wherever they
We should write up some really random signs that don't really mean anything, but kind of seem quite profound.
Yeah, and tie in with internet memes as well. I can has bail out, that sort of thing. No, look, don't get me wrong, I'm being snarky, but I love the Occupy movement. Big respect to those over there doing their thing. From me, at least. James, from you?
I just feel like because they don't know what they're trying to say, it's getting lost, They need to have someone to say, this is what we want. But no one knows what they want. So the only people actually in a position to change, come up with a solution are the same people that they're protesting against.
Harry, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a bit of a futile sort of gesture, but I mean, I don't think they're necessary.
I mean, if they're using that occupation time, I mean, I don't know, I haven't been there, I haven't seen anything with it, but if they're using that time to create a forum, so everyone's discussing and they're building, a list of,
demands.
Yeah, kind of like demands, but like ways to fix the problem, coming up with a solution rather than just saying there is a problem but not offering a solution, then it's not going to get fixed.
But I think it's still early days, isn't it?
Or they need to get in touch with their political, the people that are meant to be representing them in court and say, hey, look at all these people here, shouldn't you be doing something about this? And get them, both candidates or all the candidates on all spectrums to come down and say, what are we, to show what we're going to do to support it. So those people are saying what they're going to support, and then people can vote with their feet at the election.
I mean, what are your thoughts? I've heard some people liken this to kind of a left-wing Tea Party movement. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I mean people are arguing that it's the same sort of concerns, but just coming from the left rather than the right.
I mean, we're having a pretty similar issue in America and Australia, where you almost can't tell the difference between Labor and Liberal at the moment, except one is red,
astounding.
one is blue.
Yeah, there's no difference.
Yeah, like one is more conservative about refugees, and that's it. Like,
slightly more.
Yeah,
so. Slightly, ever so slightly. I mean, they're both.
I don't know which one is more conservative. Like,
they both are. I mean, Kevin Rudd was almost like a Liberal Prime Minister. Like, I mean, he did really.
Yeah, but Julia wants to send them to Malaysia, which isn't signed to the UN convention, and that they like.
They both want to do the wrong thing.
Yeah, no.
Well, but the thing is that
Tony wants to send them to Nauru, and they are signatories to the UN convention, and like pretty much they get put up in Australian-made accommodation and looked after by Australian people. I don't.
Yeah. So either way, it's the same situation. Just
it's
one
not the
is
same situation though, because the Labor Julia wants to send them to Malaysia, where they get like.
Yeah, but
the
thing is though, Australian government will still have to fund everything for those people.
Yeah,
it just happens they're located in there, right? It would be fair if you're going to send them back to Malaysia, you've got to put them, in the queue. There's people in Malaysia who've been waiting to get in Australia for like 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of unfair that the people that can afford to buy someone to boat them here, get priority over the people who have been waiting in the UN queues, the official UN queues, for 20 years.
But I was under the impression there are no queues.
Well,
that this notion of a queue is really
I don't know. That's the thing. Who knows? I'm watching Q&A, and they have a UN expert or a refugee expert from Malaysia saying you got to take your quota from our queues. We've got this massive queues, and then other people saying there are no queues, and I don't know who to believe.
Yeah, right. I mean, because that just in the last kind of fortnight, I can't remember. It was on the radio. Someone sort of arguing that it was like, well, there aren't queues. And we do have a refugee intake quota for the year.
Yeah.
And
which is the highest per capita in the world.
And the government chooses, this is my understanding, the government chooses to say, I'm not sure of the exact figures, say we have a refugee intake of 15,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that's our allocation that we've decided upon. For every person refugee that arrives by boat, seeking asylum, we knock the refugee tally down one.
Yeah.
Which is a voluntary. We don't have to do it that way.
Yeah.
We don't have to run it that way. And then the government gets to claim, these boat people are taking spots away from those in the official queues. But lots of countries don't have official queues, I think. And I don't know. I just think. I think these decades of debate about asylum seekers and branding them as boat people has led to sort of kind of an apathetic and kind of a stance that the Australian population has, where they view them as non-humans. Decades of our leaders saying boat people, stop them, stop them.
It's become a brand rather than a
But
thing.
It's so dehumanizing.
But I was watching, they had that go back to where you came from, and the idea was to get them to sympathise with boat people. And from the few people I saw in the post the fallout from that show that were on the show said that it makes them more anti-boat people than ever, because they had to go to the Uganda, to the refugee camps there, and see all these people waiting to get to a country like Australia, and they're just waiting and waiting because Australia's ticking the boat people off, and they're not counted towards the they're never going to get a chance when all these people are sort of with money to afford to pay for the boat can jump the queue, so to speak.
Yeah, but I think if I was in that position and I had the money and I was able to jump the queue, I'd do it. In a heartbeat, I'd do it. Why would you? And
also creates an awkward situation where if they bring children along, you have to let the children, because that's illegal to hold them as refugees. But then they're separated from their parents, and it's this weird mess.
Personally, I think Australia has the capacity to take in a lot more refugees than we do and process them efficiently and humanely.
Yeah.
And I think, it's these people have come and they want a new start. And, if we're talking about white Australia is kind of based on that principle. And I really think the government, should welcome these people, each person that arrives either by boat or by plane, and welcome them with open arms and sort of treat them as heroes for surviving these trips and escaping from horrible situations, and give them ESL training, give them skills training if they need it, and get them to work. I mean, I'm not talking slave conditions. I'm saying put them into work, make them productive members of society so that they can contribute and start a new life. I think it's a huge untapped resource that we have. We're always talking about skills shortages and fucking labour shortages, and it's no, let these people in and let them work and thrive and contribute.
I mean, the thing you have to do is disempower the people smugglers, because they're the ones sort of capitalising. There was in the last 10 years, 400 people or something like that have died taking a boat trip to Christmas Island, and that shouldn't be happening. And if we can disempower the people smugglers by making going through the UN to get to Australia the priority, the best solution, right? You disempower the people smugglers, and you stop people going on boats, and so that people get the people who are worried about the queue jumpers get a fair go, and the people who are putting on these rickety boats don't get put on rickety boats. People smugglers go out of business because they're not people are like, why pay all this money to go when we can, go through the UN and do the right thing, and and also, I mean, I don't know what it's like, but also, obviously Australia has to work hard on making sure that the refugees we do take in are, employable, so they're not come in here and they're on the streets. They can actually get a job.
Well, I think them being employable isn't whether they have skills or not. It's making sure they get skills if they don't have them.
I think by all accounts, all the refugees that come to the country are so bloody happy to be able to get a job that earns any sort of money.
Yeah.
They fucking work really hard.
Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah.
That's why I sometimes think
to be able to go to work and without fear of getting shot or bombed or abducted or,
That's why I sometimes think I wonder what it's like in the detention centres, because if I was in a detention centre and I was getting the opportunity to go into Australia, I would be so grateful to be, in this I mean, I don't know what the conditions are, but I'd be so grateful to be living in a detention center other than living in Afghanistan during, this war. I would.
Yeah, I think
I would care. I kind of think that the people that are protesting are like just troublemakers. I don't know.
Oh, look, I think it'd be really, dehumanizing and stressful situation. The uncertainty of whether you're going to stay or go home. And lots of these people are dissidents, and lots of these people have fled because they believe they'll die so it's sort of like, if they get sent home, and the thing is, it's not a short process. It's not like it's a week or a month or 2 months. Some of these people are there for years and years, and that uncertainty. I mean, a month ago, I was in Centrelink for a few hours having to fill out forms, and I swear to God, I was about ready to throw a chair at someone, And it was just difficult because I was getting sent from one desk to the next, filling out this paperwork. Do you have this form? And I just couldn't understand why they couldn't process this one simple thing. And I just think, man, if there was a language barrier on top of that, and your family's lives are at stake, and you're just constantly getting deferred and deferred and deferred and told to wait, fuck me, that was an hour at Centrelink.
But this is communication is the key to everything. The government has to be better at communication so that everyone knows that, hey, we're processing you. We're also trying to make sure you have a place to go when you leave the detention centre, all that kind of stuff. They're going to communicate that. And communication's everything. The key to all problems.
I think also one of the difficulties in kind of, like you were saying, depowering the people smuggling industry, is that there must just be such a vast amount of misinformation that's, within those communities of people traffickers and refugees, where you're told one thing, and the people and also smugglers want to get you on the boat, want to take your money, so they'll tell you something. They'll tell you, the UN camps, you'll be there for 10 years. And it's not like they're going to go, let me just go to the internet cafe and check the UN application process. I don't think they're sort of in that position. So,
I mean, I just, I made that movie about sex trafficking, and, the research I did with that is just like, the sex trafficking is the same as people smuggling. Like, people are sent here in the hope that they agree to come, in the hope that they get a place in Australia, right? But in return, they have to be, a sexual object, until they've paid off their debt. And, there's like that. At the time we did that movie, they reckon that there was between 2,000 and 3,000 sex slaves in Australia.
Jeez,
we feel like we're this, sort of perfect first world country, but, we don't have, and, obviously even in America, right, the sex traffic industry between Mexico and US is massive, but and it's a lot harder to control because because obviously it's just a border. There's no ocean to have to come across.
It's super easy to get across.
But it's really, you have to try and disempower these people and make it easier for real people to get in. So
for
that they
people to
don't
come
want
in
to take
legitimately.
the risk. Yeah.
So that the risk taking, it's. I mean, it's the same sort of argument that I have for the legalization of drugs, whereby, if you legalize them, you can standardize them, you can make them clean, and you can make them
safer,
and then you can tax them, and because we've tried criminalizing them, and it doesn't fucking work. And the US tried prohibition, and that didn't work. And all it does is put power and money and violence
into bad people.
Yeah, into people. And you see that with all sorts of drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people acting as drug mules. There's, meth labs blowing up. There's all sorts of issues like that. If you legalize it, you standardize it, you make it clean and safe and easy and tax it, it'll make you a bucket. I mean, you look at prisons. I mean, in a prison, all of people's rights are taken away, or are possessed by the state, and all of their possessions are taken away, and they're under constant watch and constant guard, and there are still murders and rapes and drugs getting in there and contraband, and these people are living under, quite literally police state. Forget a nanny state. So I just think people are going to do what they want to do, and we just need to make it safe for everyone.
We've got some breaking news, which is not really breaking, but it's just, the hottest thing on Twitter right now.
Just news.
Spock is gay.
Leonard Nimoy?
No, the new one. Leonard Quinton, or whatever his name is.
What, they got a Spock that had the same first name as the original Spock?
The actor?
No, his name is Zachary Quinto or something.
Oh, okay.
From Heroes,
So it wasn't Leonard Quinto.
No. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I got excited as well.
No, I think I said not Leonard and then Quinto, but I probably just made a blur of that
So
segment.
this is not Leonard Quinto.
It's the new one from the J.J. Abrams book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just came out.
Wow.
Was he outed, or did he come out? Or
I only briefly saw the headlines. I think he said that he's never hidden the fact he's gay. It's just this is the first time in a magazine article, which apparently makes it official, that he's mentioned it.
It's official now.
It's official.
Yeah. We obviously talked.
There's lots of room for slash fiction.
Yeah, we obviously talked last week, but not on air, about Chris Brown and the likelihood that he is at least bisexual. Do you think these people coming out and empowering everyone else?
Well, I think gone are the days of Liberace.
Don't you worry that we, as Australians...
Is this going to be our coming out corner? Are we going to have this segment every week?
No. This is coming back to us as Australia, how, we're meant to be this great country that's the first world, and it's not as... not meant to be as backwards as America, but it obviously is. But the fact that we can't tell the lines between the two parties, the fact that neither party, the major parties, are going to allow gay marriage.
That's only very momentary, though.
But why?
It won't.
What's going to happen?
What
do you think that someone, if Julie Gillard's like, hey, I'm going to allow gay marriage, do you think it's really going to affect the next election result? I think her fate's already decided. And
but Julia Gillard,
if Tony Abbott came in
before the next election, and someone
would he really dare to backwards take that away, that law away?
No, Tony's all about
conservative values.
Stopping the gays and
he's like stop the boats,
stop the
carbons, stop the gays.
No, isn't he not about stop the carbons? He's like stop the tax.
Oh, stop the carbons tax. Sorry, keep carboning.
Yeah,
keep the carbons. Stop the boats.
Yeah,
keep. I don't know. Family values. Stop the gays.
Yeah.
That's what Tony's.
Don't worry. I used to be proud of Australian when I was younger.
Level. I never had that Aussie Swazi attitude. Not that I'm claiming you. Sorry. Not
but you're part New Zealander.
That's true.
And New Zealand's
I'm first generation.
Does New Zealand have gay marriage? I'm very tempted to migrate to New Zealand.
I don't know. Maybe they do have gay marriage.
If they have gay marriage, not that I need it, but I would totally go there. I want to go to gay weddings,
On a related note, I saw on the TV the other day a documentary, or it wasn't a documentary, it was a news article about the children that went overboard on the Tampa.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, and New Zealand adopted them, and they're the best people ever.
Yeah.
And it's a real it's outrageous.
Did you watch the documentary about
three of them are millionaires or something like that?
Did you watch the documentary about the Navy personnel who were the people there, like pulling them out.
Yeah,
of the
I
water.
watched that, and the fucking
No.
spin.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Government turned them into enemies when they were real heroes, and they'll never get
Fuck me,
rewarded
yeah.
for rescuing these people.
And they were like thinking they did this great
Yeah,
job,
yeah.
and,
And
then
they
they
come
got back
back
to
home.
land, and it was like
Vietnam over again, like.
Oh, jeez.
I got goosebumps just thinking about how bad that is.
Yeah, that blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. And
Do you know what we're talking about, Harry?
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
the
Basically,
listeners back home, you
Yeah.
give them a recap.
well, basically, there was this big saga just before, I think, the 2001 election. This is before September 11th, where Kim Beazley was ahead in the polls, and
Him. I once saw him at Video Easy, and he was getting at Shrek. True story.
Wow.
True
what do
story.
we make of that?
I don't know. Just make of it what you
I can't
want.
really respect that. I mean, if it was Toy Story, man.
I know. I shook my head and I
Yeah.
thought, Kim.
Kim, you're letting us down.
I
You're
know.
our hero of our generation. But yeah, Kim Beazley, this really cool dude from West Australia, was in the lead for the polls. We're finally going to get rid of Howard after like 5 years of human power. And I'm not sure. Did we have the election before September or after? I think it was after, wasn't it? And we returned.
After September 11th.
But two things happened to bring the polls, like, flip the polls completely and, securely put John Howard back in power. And one, obviously, September had its impact, but even before then, his government released footage of these people. Their boat was sinking, and the Navy was trying to rescue them, but they tried to spin it as if the actual boat people were throwing their children aboard. And John Howard went up there and said, and well, maybe not just John Howard, but all his cabinet went up there and said, why should we let these people into our country when they're willing to throw their children overboard to get our attention? Which was totally not true at all. And they used that in the election campaign.
Completely not true. Completely not true.
And I think most people still believe that's what
It's one of
I'm sure they
Australia's greatest shames. And he got rewarded with 5 extra
But I
years
think
in power.
I think it just shows you the kind of how conservative, how thoroughly conservative majority of Australia is.
yeah.
It really is.
Is a racist wanker, and he's like, kill all the abos, kill the bloody reffies, and all the Fujis and the darkies and the brownies, And I think he is one of those people that just follows he's a sheep. He's a sheep, and I think it's because all his friends and stuff that have the same opinion. Like,
Oh yeah, definitely. It's cultural.
yeah,
But Australia is culturally, I think.
I've met and I don't think he's quite that.
You don't.
I've never had
You have never heard him.
conversation about him, the blackies.
You just don't. I try to avoid spending time with him, but I can't avoid the fact that, whenever he sees an Aboriginal on the screen, with, social issues like, oh, bloody hell, why don't we just put him to death and fix the problem, like, I don't know if he says that, but pretty much.
I don't know if he says that.
Yeah, I don't know if he says
No,
that.
I have no
but-
problem slandering because he's that bad.
This is libel, I think.
No, it's not. He wouldn't. Would he get up in court and disagree? I don't know.
Maybe.
He'd be like,
But I think,
"I've
yeah,
got a
I
solution
think,
to the problem. Lock
that,
them all up."
that Children Overboard really just kind of, and then it kind of coincided, and then it sort of got, it segued beautifully into the September 11, and then this climate of fear that we had, that the politicians were all, milking so wonderfully, and then this notion of terrorism, and, oh yes, I think a terrorist cell would likely send a terrorist by boat to Australia to attack us.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think is just the, most insane terrorist plot. The most insanely inefficient terrorist plot.
When 97% of Australia's illegal immigrants come by plane.
Oh,
Wouldn't they do the same as 97%?
Why wouldn't you just get a holiday visa, come here, and then do something? Why would you go by a boat?
Yeah.
And the boats
Take
mostly
12
get
months.
picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The boats get picked
And
up
you
and then
probably-
you get chucked in detention for 5 years. Why? Whose shittily researched plan was that?
Yeah.
No one's. That's who. No one was stupid enough to try that, because it was stupid. It was John's ridiculous idea of what a terrorist unit would do. See, if John Howard was in charge of a terrorist cell, that's how he would run his operations. And I don't think we should trust him, because
He'd be a shit terrorist.
he'd be a shit terrorist, so he'd probably be a shit prime minister. And he was. John.
So, some of our regular listeners tuning in will probably be like, "What the hell is this? Why aren't we playing D&D?"
It's extended Quanda.
Yeah. And
We're going to talk about the carbon tax next.
Where's Who's Hot Now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's the D&D? Where's the D&D? But Fred has gone away on holidays.
D&D, we're down FB.
Yeah.
Freddie Baines, he's gone.
He's gone. So we can't play D&D.
He's in Gay Paris.
We're considering replacing with a podcast on Monday nights.
We're only considering it.
Our current name is Fangin Around. But do you want to discuss on air, is that a good enough name? Should we keep that, or... As in Fangin' Around, it's kind of short, like hanging around.
And it sounds a bit like fucking
but
around.
we were gonna talk about automobiles and stuff like that as well.
Well, it originally started as like an automotive
It was going to be
podcast.
exclusively automobile podcasting.
Yeah, but we were gonna have extensive off-topic segments, I'm guessing.
Well, I think it still is
Because I don't think we have
podcast,
enough,
isn't it?
Yeah,
we're just off topic
Yeah.
all the time.
Because we don't have that much automobile news every week to talk about.
I honestly don't think we've got much at all. I think.
So is Fangin' Around, do we keep that, or we...
Yeah, no, I like it.
Let's just keep fanging
I'm liking
around.
it even more.
Because it's like hanging around, but we put an
Yeah.
F in there for Fred, but he's not here, ironically, for the...
We're always
Start the
dropping Fs for
Yeah.
Fred.
Yeah.
And people might think it's a Twilight podcast as well.
Oh,
We
yeah.
could do a little vampire recap.
We could
That
do a
might get us
Vampire of the week. Yeah.
Vampire of the week.
Someone can be in charge of each vampire each week.
Okay, so what's your favourite vampire of all the vampires you've seen so far?
Oh,
I don't think I've seen any vampire films.
You haven't seen Blade or Buffy or...
I've seen Blade. Haven't seen Buffy.
the
Blade.
classics like Dracula,
No.
Count Duckula.
No.
I don't.
Oh, Count Duckula, of course.
Don't go spurting your load all at once on the first.
No, I'm giving you options and then we discuss it.
the first episode of Fangin.
No, but this is how we establish our characters for all
What
those
about
Twilight
True Blood?
fans.
Haven't you watched True Blood?
Yeah, True Blood.
No.
You haven't watched True
Twilight.
Blood? Twilight. Nosferatu.
The Vampire Diaries.
Vampire Academy.
Interview with the Vampire? No.
Interview with the Vampire.
Nope.
Yeah, my
What's the one
vampire
with
knowledge is-
Alia that died? Queen of the Damned.
Alia, Queen of the Damned.
I
Wasn't
think
that
I
was a
saw that
sequel
one.
to Interview with the Vampire, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
Was it?
I don't know. One of those.
Yeah, it
vampire
was.
movies.
It was one of the Anne
It's like
Rice.
the shits.
Is that
Yeah.
who she is? Anne Rice. Yeah, it's an Anne Rice book.
But I thought we, establish our characters for the Twilight fans tuning in about what our favorite vampire was.
I'm more into werewolves. That's my
Oh,
thing. Like Teen
alright.
Wolf.
Teen
Teen
Wolf. Michael
Wolf?
J. Fox's Teen
Yeah.
Wolf. All right, so your favorite vampire is Michael J. Fox's Teen Wolf.
Oh, you didn't like the guy from Arrested Development who was in the sequel? What's his name? Jason
No.
Bateman?
No.
Jason
No.
Bateman? No,
Jason Bateman?
that's from American Psycho, isn't it?
Jason Bateman, the guy from Arrested Development, isn't it?
Is it? I thought Jason Bateman was the character from
Fact checking.
American Psycho.
American Psycho is a
No,
great
that's
film.
Christian Bale, isn't it?
No, but what's the
The
character's
character.
name?
I think Jason Bateman is the actor.
No,
from
that's
that thing.
It's Bateman, isn't it?
Bateman, yeah.
Yeah. What's his first name?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
So, James, do you have a favorite vampire?
Yeah, Jason Bateman. He was this Teen Wolf in the sequel, Teen Wolf 2.
Is it spelled T-O-O?
I don't think it was old, so it was before they started putting numbers and like that and stuff. And it was before 7, I think. Was that the first movie to have a number in place of a letter?
I thought that had the word.
No, they used a V as a 7, didn't they? In the posters.
The V is a 7?
Yeah, I think
7
it's-
is a V?
Yeah, in 7,
Yeah, but when they
Spy
spelled
Club
Teen
did.
Wolf 2, did they spell it T-O-O as in, I'm also a Teen Wolf? Or did they spell it like Teen Wolf number 2?
Yeah, it's 7, 1995 was actually spelled with the V being a 7. But what about, Teen Wolf?
And then also, what's the character from American Psycho called? Is it Patrick Bateman?
Patrick Bateman. And then there's other Batemans.
No,
in the other
there's just
books.
one Bateman in all of the world. And
No,
this
isn't
Arrested
there more than
Development guy can't be called Bateman as well. That's it.
Teen Wolf Wiki. Fact checking. You guys got to
Do they have their own wiki? Does Teen Wolf have its own wiki?
It should.
There's a Teen Wolf. Yes, they do, because there's a Teen Wolf.
No,
out.
shut the fuck up.
Teenwolf.wikia.com.
No! Is that true?
I haven't looked at it
Teen
yet.
Wolf Wiki?
It might be for the TV show, though.
Man, the internet's
Because
got
there's a TV show
everything.
coming out based on the movies.
about a teen werewolf. He better be really cool. Like, he better be a goofy werewolf when he turns into a werewolf. Not one of these, like...
No, he's going to be like...
I don't want it to be like some badass werewolf.
He's
got to be cool. He's got to be like wearing Reeboks and it's got to be more thriller than.
Did you see the other day they released a charity edition Reebok Back to the Future?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
That was sweet.
Would you guys, if you can get them for a reasonable price, would you get them even though they're not automatic lacing?
I would.
I think I'd always be disappointed.
Yeah.
Every time I wore them, I think I'd be let down that they didn't auto lace.
But when I say a reasonable price for a pair of shoes, I mean like $100. I wouldn't pay more than $100 for a pair of shoes.
Teen Wolf 2, but yeah, it's spelt T-O-O for 2.
Yeah, good. Okay. And is it because it's not the same character? Because it's a different character who's also a teenage werewolf?
Alright, I'll Google Teen Wolf.
Doesn't it just have it on the Teen Wolf Wikia?
Yeah, but that's everything Teen Wolf, and it's probably based around the TV show. I don't know if they mention the movie.
I don't know, James.
Okay, so James, who's your favourite werewolf? Who's your favourite vampire?
Well, you know, while we're just thinking, I mentioned Count Dracula. That's historically my favourite vampire. But I like Blade as well, the Daywalker.
Is he a full-blown vampire? I'm
No,
not
he's a
questioning
halfie.
whether he counts.
He's a halvesy.
He's a halfie.
Half-blood.
I don't think he can.
Okay. Because didn't his mum get bitten while she was pregnant?
Yeah.
And he got born a vampire. And
Yeah, so it's a vampire that can walk around during the day.
The Daywalker, that's right.
I don't know if he has
Did he
any
eat
weaknesses
his mum
though.
from the inside?
No, she was like in labour when she got bitten or something.
She was dying anyway from the bite or something like that.
Something like that. It's kind of a cool idea.
Little bit.
In terms of like
Yeah.
ridiculous mythology.
In terms
'Cause,
of
yeah,
Wesley Snipes.
I really like
Wesley Snipes is pretty wicked in it.
yeah,
Like,
Blade
if you're going to get anyone to be
Blade 1 and 2. Apparently he was like that was like the full that was his most extreme method. He's a method actor and that was his most extreme
Is he
ever.
a method actor?
Yeah, so he was in character all the time. So you went to his if you were his personal assistant and you went to give him food, he'd be like, "Hey, I'm Blade," you know.
And did he try and
Isn't
eat
he
you?
in jail at the moment for tax evasion?
Probably, yeah.
I think he is. I wonder if he's method acting
Oh, is
in
that
there.
why he's not been in any movies?
Yeah.
I thought it was
He's
just
been
because he
in
was
jail.
shit.
No, I think he might be out again because I think there's a new movie with him in it now.
Snipesy. You know, I was... okay, so Count Dracula, let's stay on topic for just a moment. Because I was going to segue.
Runner-up Blade.
Runner-up Blade.
Yeah.
Harry, any thoughts at all?
Yeah, Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf?
Yeah, I can hear me. I can hear myself.
Okay.
Can you
I'll
hear?
bet.
I can hear you in real life, not on
Teen
the...
Wolf. That's better. Teen Wolf. All right. So Teen Wolf it is. And for myself, shit, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, so Jason Bateman played Todd Howard, the cousin of Scott Howard, who was Michael J. Fox in Teen Wolf 2.
Oh, so he was a cousin who was
Yeah.
also a Oh, that's a wicked idea. If you're going to do a sequel and can't get Michael J. Fox back.
But I think in Arrested Development they make reference to the fact that he was Teen Wolf.
Really? Does he turn into a werewolf every full moon?
No, I think they just tease how bad that movie is, just to...
I'd love to
Jason Bateman?
I'd love to be in the right.
You know, the main guy in Arrested Development is in... And since then he's been in like every movie ever. Like, he's always the
That
dorky
kind of
guy.
bold, horrible guy.
No, the sane guy in Arrested Development. The son, the older son, who has the George Michael as the son of him. The son of George Bluth was Michael Bluth, who is Jason Bateman.
Show me a picture.
And he had a son called George Michael, who was
No,
Michael Cera.
This is how the Bible starts.
Michael Cera, yeah.
Sounds like...
Oh, he's cut his hair. Look at that picture of Wesley Snipes. He looks like what's the guy that went and tried to murder his wife? O.J. Simpson, maybe. Or he's just really skinny. I don't know. As of 2011, Snipes is serving a prison sentence for misdemeanor failure to file U.S. federal income tax returns.
Yeah, that's the one. How do your taxes get so bad that you gotta go to jail?
Basically, just don't pay them.
Oh shit, I haven't put my tax in.
Yeah, I know. Neither have I, but I don't think we're gonna go to jail.
No,
Well-
yeah, because you've already... Yeah, if you're working for someone else, they should pay the tax for you.
Oh yeah, I suppose I paid my tax.
But if you're a
Oh, you just
subcontractor...
haven't
Put
gotten it
the
back.
return in.
The thing is, if you're a subcontractor, right, they'll just pay the whole amount and you're meant to send that money, what you're taxed, to the tax department, you know.
I see. Yes, now I understand.
Because I handed my tax in last year, 2 years late.
Did you get in trouble?
Nah, they don't, for people like
Your
us,
tax
they don't.
return or your actual tax?
Tax return.
Tax return.
You know, I think tax return matter because they're quite happy if you don't return it because they get to keep the money.
That's true.
It's the other way around where you owe the tax come because you haven't paid any tax.
Or if they know you're likely to owe a fuckload of tax.
Yeah. Okay, his last movie was Gallows Walker 2010. So yeah, I think he's in jail.
Yeah. So he's in jail.
Conclusion.
2010.
Last year.
Last year.
This year he got put in the
Oh,
slammer.
But what was he doing for the last 10 years?
I don't know. Now,
He did Blade up to Blade 3.
they were good movies. He was never in anything.
I did the
better
sequel
than
to Art of
Blade.
War. Brooklyn's Finest was the last movie I remember him being in. That was
Now I've been
with
doing
Sylvester Stallone or
a
something.
lot of catch up on my 8-Bit Dreams project, which is
Yeah.
a project where I'm drawing an illustration for every single one of the original Nintendo Entertainment System games. I think there's about 800, and in theory, I'm doing one a day. At the moment, I'm doing about 10 a day because I'm trying to catch up. Because I went on holiday and I couldn't do any then.
Is that one of them there?
That's one of them there. This
Oh,
is
that's Tetris. That's like the cornerstone.
of video games.
Of
Kind
Is
of.
that going to be worth millions in like a couple of days?
Quite
In a couple of
literally
days.
cornerstone. It's like
Cornerstone. That's right. Or Keystone, perhaps. And I was doing one just recently of the Predator game on the NES, and I was having to look up Arnold Schwarzenegger and get reference images of him, and I was thinking, holy shit, he was like a really big deal. Like, I know I'm probably kind of understating it by saying that, and it's the
I think
bleeding
you are.
obvious.
Yeah.
But I was thinking back to my, when I was young, and how many, films were centered around him that were a big deal. And then I was looking at his filmography, and I was like, man, there's like a lot of solid gold. Like that, he was like a bankable actor, and he still probably is if they can get him in front of the camera. He was in a lot of like totally awesome stuff, like Total Recall,
yeah,
Predator,
That's a quality film.
Terminator, even something like The Last Action Hero, which is all sort of like postmodern and
Yeah, yeah.
kind of strange,
A
and
reference to his
referential.
previous films.
Yeah,
like-
it becomes almost like this high budget art house film.
Yeah.
He was in a lot of really cool stuff.
True Lies, best film ever made.
True Lies, he was really cool and charismatic, and he still is like just amazing to
Iron.
look at. Yeah, Pumping Iron, that's
He
really
is
it.
he is quite older now.
Yeah, well, he's an old dude now.
I saw this awesome picture of.
I'm going to vote for him for president.
but he can't be president because he's.
Born overseas.
No, I think they should.
But he might get that
Yeah,
changed
they're going to change it.
just for him.
Would he?
Obama's
But then
gonna
didn't he
change it. He's
get?
gonna, like,
Didn't everyone hate
gonna
him?
pass this law.
Oh, he probably will win anyway. But
That'll totally win him.
But what about and do you guys remember the huge rivalry between him and Stallone?
yeah,
who was like the
Stallone
bigger
is the
action hero?
biggest pansy. Nothing.
Well, like, Stallone was in Rambo, which was totally awesome.
Okay,
He was in
okay.
Rocky
Do you know
as
they're
well,
making
which was
Rambo?
amazing.
okay, this is an article I'm reading out. Okay, apparently Schwarzenegger has tweeted, "I'm back," because he's in the new Expendables movie with Sylvester Stallone
is
and
he?
Bruce
Is he
Willis,
in it?
and this is the first promo photo apparently for it.
oh man.
Wow, because that was always the thing when I was younger. It was like, who's the bigger badass, Stallone or Schwarzenegger? Bruce Willis never really factored into
No,
it
he
because
was-
he was sort of
he was
like
the everyman.
Yeah,
you know?
he was the
Yeah,
everyman action hero. He was cool but different. But to see, and when the
And there's also
Expendables-
Jean Claude Van Damme.
yeah, and there was
JCVD.
Seagal who
Seagal.
Stupid
Seagal. I mean, he's a bit of everyone
He was a
snickers.
joke, yeah.
He was a bit of a jerk.
But I think he was in the last Expendables.
He was. But when the Expendables, I haven't actually seen it. But when it was announced and I
Yeah.
saw the cast list, I was like, "Holy shit! If only this movie came out 10 years ago, I would
Yeah.
have just like lost my mind." And then I was like, "Where's Arnold?" That's the thing. Where's Arnold in this?
Yeah.
And it's
But you know
great to see that he's
biggest
gonna be in it.
credit to Arnold Schwarzenegger is that he was in, I think, both mine and Harry's one of our favorite movies of all time, which is True Lies, where he is hilarious. Not only an action hero, but hilarious. That is like the ultimate action comedy crossover
Yeah, right,
I think, of any movie.
It's pretty much the ultimate movie.
And it's got those Harrier jump jets.
Yeah,
right?
but he was in other comedies like
totally fucking-
the Harry Jump Jets. Oh, back
Yeah.
then I was loved Harry Jump Jets.
That's just incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of those
And
one of
directed
those-
by James Cameron, so it wasn't just, some crappy CGI. It was like this epic production, you know?
And, if you're going to get action sequences, James Cameron in. And I think the Harrier jump jet, it's one of those pieces of technology that when I first saw it, I was like, wow, I'm living in the future.
Yeah.
There was that, and there was sort of in terms of planes, I think it was the Nighthawk or something. That stealth
Oh, yeah,
jet.
the stealth F-117.
And there's that one that's the really long
I don't
cone.
want to mix. Probably
What's that
don't mix it.
really long...
Don't mix your drinks.
You don't want to mix it with this.
It's not a Concorde. It's like a really long... it's another fighter
Oh, the
jet.
SR-71?
Yeah,
Blackbird?
those three planes represent this kind of...
Although,
shit
ironically,
moments.
the Harrier jump jet and the SR-71 are like from the 60s.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
F-117's from the 80s, so that was
The Harrier
first
jump
modern.
jet was from the 60s?
Yeah, I think it came out in 1960.
No way. Why don't they use them
Mid-1960s.
anymore? Why don't they use them anymore?
they still do use them.
Oh, did
Well, they're getting replaced by the F-35, which does the same
whenever
thing.
that comes out.
Yeah, but it's big delayed. But the US Marines still use it, and I think the British Navy still use them.
Oh, okay.
But the British Air Force has stopped using them. I
Do
think.
they use them off their aircraft carriers?
Yeah.
Do they? So do they just fly up and then off? Or what do they do?
No, well, they can, but that is really fuel inefficient. So they're on the Africa carrier, they just go off like a short runway, and at the end of the runway has a little speed bump to give them lift. So it's more fuel efficient, but they can go up vertically. But like the Marines use them vertically because they're, Marines are badass and they have to land. But the ones in True Lies were the Marine Corps Harriers.
All right.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah. But yeah, the new F-35s can do the vertical thing.
My son, I got him out from the library a kind of cross-section book on seafaring ships, the history of boats and submarines and all sorts of cool stuff. And one there was the center of the book had a gatefold, which was a aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
So it opened out, and it was really cool. And I was looking at all the planes, and they were talking about the short runways, and I was thinking, because we just gotten back to Australia and had been on a plane, and I was thinking, man, I'm not a particularly good flyer. I get quite nervous on takeoff and land. And I was thinking, man, on these little tiny planes with this tiny runway, and it's just like, boom, and off you go into the air. I don't think I do too well in those, but
I watched
it just blows my mind.
I watched a lot of when I was younger. I watched a lot of Jag, and they always had a naval.
Worst show.
Because of Catherine Bell, was it?
No, I watched it because it was like Top Gun, but on TV.
With Catherine Bell.
Well, she didn't come until later. I think by the time she came into it, I was bored of it. I could be wrong, but
and they were trying to lure you back.
Yeah, with boobs. But also, she didn't. It wasn't until I saw a magazine, and we've gone offline apparently. But
just as well.
it wasn't until saw her in a magazine that I realized she was like, whoa, because she was always in the conservative, Navy outfit before then.
Right.
How do we get into Harrier jump jets? Oh, True Lies. Oh, and we're talking Arnold Schwarzenegger and his legacy.
Do you, so obviously True Lies is one of your favourite films, flat out, both of you. But do you have a second favourite Arnold film? I mean, he's got a really large kind of film.
Terminator is probably one of my other favourite movies of all time. Like.
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
And Arnie, there he is again. He's actually, like you said in True Lies, he's so funny as well. He's able to be
and
hilarious.
Kindergarten Cop, that was really funny.
Holy shit, yeah, Kindergarten Cop.
Junior?
No, Junior.
No, not Junior.
Twins?
But, social commentary. Junior Twins was a hilarious film.
Do you know
that's one of Fred's favourite films. I'll
really?
speak up for him
Yeah.
in his
Really?
absence. Well, look, some of Fred's favourite films are Predator, are Twins, and I think Terminator too.
Yeah.
Those are his favourite films.
Do you know
Arnie.
the infamous pitch? It has the world record for the shortest pitch for any film of all time.
What, Junior?
Yeah.
Arnold
No,
gets pregnant.
Twins.
Oh, Twins.
This was the pitch that the producer gave the executive producers,
Yeah.
right? They said, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I reckon they said Arnold Schwarzer.
Yeah,
Just to make the pitch shorter.
Okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito, Twins. That's all he said, and they're like, green light. Boom. Okay, we're back online, apparently.
That's just because it had Arnie in it.
They probably said
Bankable
Arnold, and they
actor.
just went green.
Yeah. Film with Arnie, it's going to make money.
But can someone bring up his filmography? I'm sure there's some gems we're missing.
Oh, there's lots of. I liked the Christmas one where he had to fight to get his kid the Christmas present.
Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way. I loved that. I went and saw that at the cinema with my family, and I was thinking, oh, this is going to be a lame family movie. But it's like, oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's awesome.
Did I go and see that with you?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, because I don't know why I would have seen that film otherwise.
But his contribution to American cinema is just overwhelming.
Cinema, full stop.
Or just cinema, yeah. I bet he's really fun to party with as well.
Man.
Don't you reckon?
Well, he's been banging women behind his wife's back.
Yeah, so he must be fun. Oh, man.
Well, like, what was the story with Pumping Iron? Pumping Iron.
So it was just a documentary about that Mr. Universe competition.
But did they make it around Arnie, or was it just like...
I think they made it around a few guys, but Arnie was like the most
standard.
awesome.
He stole the show.
He was talking about, I'm calming and smoking weed.
It was just like, that's the impression I was under. He wasn't a star at that time, but they but the footage they had of him was so wicked they had to like focus it on him.
Because that was a fucking great movie as well.
Well, that was a really cool movie. My favourite bit in that is when he's talking about that up-and-coming bodybuilder who came to him for advice. Do you remember? And he fucks with him and he lies to him and he tells him like to scream when he's posing. When he's posing. And when he's posing high, to scream really high-pitched and low, really low-pitched. And this guy, this rookie, went out and did it and he got kicked off the stage or something and it kind of ended his career. And Arnie's laughing about this, and he's really glib, and I'd love to know what happened to that guy.
Who? Which guy? Oh, the guy in Pumping Iron. Yeah. Well, okay, so the only thing you really missed from his classics is Conan. But everything.
And how can you miss that?
Yeah, he sort of went downhill after Terminator 2. Well, he had a razor.
Oh, yeah, that was cool because it had a railgun in it.
And then there was Jingle All the Way. Then his most infamous flop, which was Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin.
Yeah. Oh, look, that wasn't his fault.
End of Days, I didn't really like that. The Sixth Day,
End of Days, yeah.
It's not a bad film, but it
wasn't.
It was hyped up so much because it was like the
Y2K.
Yeah, it was the Y2K film to see, you know. The Sixth Day, which is actually a pretty fun sci-fi film, but it's not, great.
Oh, the clone one.
Collateral Damage, where I think it's a fire. That came out, I remember that they had to postpone that because September 11th came out because there's a firefighter in some building that fell down.
I haven't seen that.
Then Terminator 3. And then he had a bunch of... After Terminator 3, he had a bunch of weird stuff like Around the World in 80 Days. Oh, that was his only thing after Terminator 3 because then he became
governor and he couldn't.
But yeah, Around the World 80s, let's hope he... but yeah, he's in Expendables 2 and a new movie called Last Stand, apparently.
Is it at all related to the Bruce Willis film, The Last Stand? Was that called The Last Stand? He was in a film. It was like a remake of some Western film. Am I imagining that?
Sounds familiar.
What was the film that had Bruce Willis in it and Sarah Jessica Parker, and he was like a Marine Sea Guard dude?
Oh, yeah.
In the Line of Fire. No, it was...
Last Man Standing.
Last Man Standing.
That was the...
Bruce Willis
yeah.
one. I just remember seeing clips for it on TV. And
Last Man Standing is actually a pretty good noir. It's weird. You should see it. Have you seen it?
No, I have seen it. Yeah.
It's a weird film, but...
And he's playing two gangs off against one another, isn't he? Yeah.
Sarah Jessica Parker. I know IMDb used to have a feature where you can look up who's
the hottie now. That'd be a good feature.
There was actually a pretty good Who's the Hottie Now in our...
Oh. Shall we segue into Who's the Hottie Now?
Who's the Hottie? We need like a little theme song.
Who's the hottie now? Who's the hottie now?
Well, I didn't have any actually. Who's the hottie now specific? I had some.
Well, shall we introduce the hot? Who's the hot
or nots? But
not the first one. What's the second one?
Well, let's introduce the concept of who's the hottie.
Who's the hottie now?
Harry, can you...
Is we name...
I've forgotten what it was.
Who's the hottie now is where we find 2 women who are like pretty hot in...
Oh, that could be men.
Or men.
We're...
In a TV show or a movie like back in the day, and we look at them now to see who turned out to be hotter, and we compare that to who we thought was hotter originally.
That sums it up.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good sum up of who the hottie
And the
now
original
is.
example was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
And this among our friendship group has...
divided.
This debate has raged for
years.
probably a decade.
Yeah, literally. I would have been...
Yeah. It's probably been going for a decade, this argument.
But it's been settled now because the younger sister is
No.
obviously hotter in
it
old
must
age.
be like 15 years of argument because this has gone on...
Yeah.
This was going on through high school. This is like 15 years of rock solid arguing over who the hottie is.
And for the record is that the people who prefer the younger sister obviously are talking about when the show finished.
Oh, look,
because
I don't think this is obvious at all.
we don't want to get into
I think Fred's not here to talk, so I'm just going to assume he means throughout all the seasons.
And I'm
Which
sticking
is
up for Fred
disgusting.
because clearly she's only hot towards
No,
the end.
look, Fred has made it clear that for Fred, there is some tipping point for women where they become a woman and, they start catching his eye. And during the series run of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, this young actress, she tipped over that point where Fred thought, all right, it's on.
Well, okay, the show finished. It started in 1990 and finished in 1996, so it was a 6-year.
So...
I don't know if that actually when it came to Australia. I can't remember when we started watching Australia, but
I don't know. So she could have gone from 10 to 16. She could have gone
and
from
the older
14 to
sister
20,
was.
so there's a pretty good.
I think the older sister was only. No, I'm thinking of the mother.
She was like 30 when the show started. She's probably like 30.
So there was the choice of Ashley Banks or Hilary Banks. Ashley was the younger sister. Hilary was the older one. This is in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Ashley Banks was played by Tatiana Ali, and Hilary Banks was played by Karen Parsons. Tatiana Ali was born in 1979, so she was older than us.
James, can you put it up on the big screen?
Harry's trying to sway me with some images of the younger sister. It's not working.
But Fresh Prince is
For the
back
people
on. I
at
was
home,
watching it the other day.
She's quite hot.
This is the older sister, Karen Parsons. Obviously, she was born in 1966, so she's quite old now, but back in the day.
Back in the day, she looked quite old as well.
66? I didn't realise that. So she must be, if my math's right, 55.
So she would have been like
45, maybe 44.
Yeah, my math is wrong,
46.
so she'd be 45.
So she would have been. Oh, she would have been 24.
Horrific. A
When the show
horrifically elderly age
Yeah.
for a woman.
24 when she started.
When the show finished, she would have been 30.
30's fine.
Old.
30 is awesome. And in 1979, so she would have been
And Hillary.
21 when it started.
Ashley.
Is that right?
Yeah, go to that great photo over there.
This one here?
No, to the left. That's the one.
The photos here, there's not many good photos. You have to-
Okay, and now I think Fred actually needs to be here for this because
I'm outnumbered.
because you're outnumbered.
But it always became a draw because I was 2 against.
Yeah, well, it was good that way.
Yeah.
But also, The Ladies' Man. What is this movie? All right. So just for the record, myself, I always thought the older sister was the infinitely more attractive one.
The hottie.
Essentially, in the context of this segment, she's the hottie.
Just to kind of clear it up for the listeners there in case.
Yep. Now, one of the reasons why I think
What happened to Karen Parsons?
that's what Google's recommended search. What happened to Karen Parsons?
People decided she was not quite that attractive, and so.
There you go, Harry. That one's for you.
She's a classy lady.
Okay, so
1979, so how old is she now?
They're 33, 32.
Bit old.
32. Now, James, who did you prefer?
The older one, yeah.
The older one, and Harry, obviously,
Hillary.
the younger one.
Younger one.
The younger one. Now, was there a definitive tipping point for you, Harry, when she became attractive?
Yep, there. No.
No, you just.
Oh, no.
Were you just watching? No, but I mean, were you just watching the show and
The tipping point was
you're
not
watching,
definitive.
and then all of a sudden you're sort of going, "Oh wait, she's getting a bit attractive." And
No, I was
then
just
you sort of
like-
went, "You know what? That's a bit of all right there."
No, one day I think we're having a conversation at school about who's the hottie and who's like
and you
who's
had
hotter.
to, and then you had to actually think about it in those terms.
No. I've always thought, well, not always. Only when she entered her later seasons of the show.
This isn't very convincing at all. All right, so
But she was legally of age, we've established. She was born in 1979. So
by the end of the show,
no, how old? She was 12.
yeah, that's not legally of age.
No, sorry.
in any country.
I was miscalculated that. I was thinking 2000.
I think whether she was legal age is kind of irrelevant, seeing as there was no sort of legal sort of requirement.
I mean, for the record, we were 16, 17.
Yeah. So you can think a 14-year-old's hot when you're 16.
Was she 14?
I got no idea.
I guess by the time we argued about it, she would have been 20, right? And she's so 21. But
What,
not on
in
the
real
show.
life, not in this show.
Yeah, not on the show. So 1996, that's the last season. How old she would have been 17.
How old would we have been?
So still not legally of age.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not of age, but we would have been 12. But I don't think it showed in Australia then, at least when we were
No.
watching it. I don't remember watching it before.
When did we see it?
I remember it would have been when we
would
would have started watching when we
I
were
don't
11
remember.
or 12.
I don't remember ever watching it in primary.
We would have started watching season 1 in year 11 or 12.
I only ever remember watching it in high school upon the recommendation, I think, of Fred.
But the arguments didn't start until we were 16 or 17, so we were looking back at a 14-year-old girl.
No, but when we were
And
16 or 17, we were watching.
When we
the
were
5th and 6th
17,
series.
3 years is a big difference for a younger girl, I think, from memory. I don't know.
No, but when,
So who's the hottie now?
obviously, it's still the younger sister.
I think it's still Karen Parsons.
I like this image.
That sums it
In a
up.
business suit.
With
business suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stuff the one where
And
she
the
was like
bangs.
topless. Like,
What?
go back there.
Where?
This one.
Oh. No, down
No.
one and to the left.
Oh. Is that real?
Yeah.
Or is that a
Yeah, I
fake?
think that's real. Look, I always admired her strong nose. I always found that attractive. I always thought she had a really strong.
Although you can see when she
nose.
has, her proper black hair going, it's really black. Obviously, I don't remember that in the show. I think in the show she
No, I
obviously
think
had
she was
straightened
going for a
all the time.
professional kind of
Yeah,
a
she was a
repressed
bit of
look.
a yeah.
But
And
her,
that's-
like, look
have
at
you
the
watched-
bottom right there. Her natural hair looks fantastic in the bottom right. The far.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Now,
It's true. The photos of her now do look quite attractive, but in the show, the repressed look is not attractive. In a business
No,
suit, straightened hair, not
look,
attractive.
I thought you could always see that she was gonna if you got her out of that suit.
Just take the hat off, like let the
Yeah,
hair
yeah.
down,
No,
that sort
but
of
she
thing.
always had that as well because she was the vain sister. She was the image conscious one. She was the stuck up one. There was always a bit of that.
Yeah, see, I
which
was
is-
more attracted to the down to earth sort of,
Oh, well, that's fair
The
enough.
sassiness of the younger sister.
Yeah.
She was more sassy. Oh, the old one. Look, now go back to some pictures of Karen in the on Google or wherever. Look, Fred's not here, so he can't comment on it because I'd like to have him comment on it because she actually turns out appears in one of his favourite films, which is that Major Payne, I think it is, with one of the Wayans brothers. I'm just looking at it there where he does the
Tatiana
robot.
Ali.
No, the other sister
Karen
does.
Parsons?
Yeah,
I think I remember that.
because I think Fred made me watch it once, and I was just like, "Fuck this movie, Fred. This is so bad." And he was like, "No, it's my favorite movie after Predator and Terminator 2." So a picture of Major Payne has just come up. it's a ridiculously bad film that she appears in it. And I think she's the hot, like, love interest in this film. Major Payne. Is she in it? They had photos of her being in it.
Yes.
Karen
Emily
Parson.
Warburn.
Yeah, there you go.
What do you know?
All right, so... James, you're the swing vote.
Well, I'm sticking to my same old argument.
Oh.
Fred needs to Skype in now or he's going to lose the battle.
Oh, yeah.
And this is on record. This is the podcast.
Well, I'm tempted to turn for who's the hottie now.
Oh! This is it! This is what we've always wanted to hear! Can we bring up some YouTube clips? Because I'm sure we can find even more evidence as to Karen Parsons.
No, there's no way I'm going to change as to who was the hottest sister in the latter seasons of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because that is unequivocal.
But
But who's the hottie now?
Catherine's
I think
consistent.
the older sister might actually be
Karen
hotter
Parsons
now.
has a consistency, you're right. She's got this. She's got the same style going on.
I think she has more... I think you're right, Campbell. She's got more kind of definitive sort of features that see her through, whereas the younger sisters probably just...
Had cuter features that were cute when she was young, but...
just a bit plain.
Now, look, I don't want this segment just to turn into judging women. Monday night judging women based on their looks. So maybe next week we'll do some dudes as well, just to level it out. Maybe we can look at who is it from 90210? Like
Shannon Doherty.
no, I'm talking about who was it?
Oh,
Who were the
it was
two?
Dylan versus the other dude.
Luke Perry and wasn't Scott Wolf? Was it?
No, the Scott Wolf was Party of Five.
We're watching a video clip from Major Payne where he dances the robot to seduce a woman.
I love Freddie.
And this is one of Fred's favourite films. I remember Fred lost it at this bit when we watched it. He was just about wetting himself when Major Payne does the robot.
And that's Karen?
That's Karen Pearson just kind of going...
That's her vagina. He's open.
I wonder if they CGI'd his head onto that body. Do you think? I bet they blew half their budget on that.
You saying Damon Wayans can't dance?
What's the song in the background?
I bet someone's asked that in the comment section. That's like the number one question in YouTube comments. What's that song that's playing in the background?
Using Shazam to try and work it out. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, man. I can totally see Fred loving this.
Yeah.
Pop that coochie. The 2 Live crew. Do you want me to email it to you?
Yes,
No,
please.
that's all right. Is there an option just to buy it off iTunes? Because we should definitely get Pop That Coochie by 2 Live Crew. Oh!
Oh, no,
Whoa,
James,
whoa, whoa,
you stopped it
don't
at the wrong
pause it
spot.
there. Bring it back and let's see.
It's a pretty low quality version of this.
That's all right.
Oh, swinging the booty. She's getting into it. He's impressed her so much. I love it when a guy impresses a girl with his dancing.
So
Do you
do
watch
I.
Dancing with the Stars?
No, but they've already set up. You know, they should have to win their partners over. With,
Have you been watching, what's that one with Christina Aguilera in it? That judging competition. The Voice, I think it's called.
Oh, no, apparently it's coming to Australia with Delta.
Oh, boo. Delta versus Christina Aguilera. Christina Aguilera tear her apart.
Well, you don't like Delta?
Delta smelt it? No. She's like a
Delta
grandma.
is shit.
Oh, she's awesome.
No, she's not. When she
Grandma.
released a line of underwear, I was like, what the fuck? Seriously. She's the last person I'd buy underwear from. Or I'd want a woman to buy underwear
Oh,
from.
but she survived cancer.
Yeah, that's wicked.
And she
I
made
know.
music.
She what?
She survived cancer and Neighbours and then made music.
Neighbours isn't like
And then she
concentration camp.
then she became a homewrecker and
Oh, did she? I didn't
yeah,
know
she
that.
married a married man. Or she hooked up with a married man. And
Who was that?
And you're holding her up something like she's some hero?
Yeah, James.
I forgot about that. I just remembered it then. So, what other subjects are we going to have on Fangin?
Tonight, for the first episode, for the first Who's the Hottie Now?
Pop that coochie.
The winner was Karen Parsons.
Yeah.
We had a swing vote. We had a landslide
Who's
victory.
the hottie now?
Yeah, for Who's the Hottie Now.
Yeah.
Who's the hottie? Not who's
That's
the hottie.
the question. Not who was the hottie then, it's who's the hottie now.
If you guys have any suggestions for
Next week?
who you would like us to judge as Who's the Hottie Now, send it to maybe mailbag@gimmerishfm.com. Hopefully that'll work.
Anything.
Or just tweet one of us. Campbell's at Campbell White, Harry's at Harry_yeah.
Don't
I'm at the
tweet
guy
me.
called Tom. Okay.
Tweet Harry.
Tell him to get back on Twitter.
Just on that subject, I've just got a new follower on Twitter.
What? No way.
Jonathan Gimblin is now following me.
Oh, Keg.
Okay.
He loves a bit of it. He's always on there. You'll enjoy his
Giving him a
company.
shout out.
I will
Big
not
shout
see any of his comments.
Okay, so
I can tell you're tempted to read out the thing I vetoed.
well, the thing is, you vetoed one of the things, but the thing is, these were show notes for like an episode we're going to do like 3 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
every podcast I know has discussed this one that you vetoed.
Okay,
anyway.
so we're not going to talk about it.
It's been done.
I don't even want to talk about it. I could tell.
What
that
was your
unless you-
objection? So you had a moral objection to it.
Oh, look, I had dual objections. One was, like you said, I figured, unless you were talking about it on the day, everyone's talked about this ad nauseum. And two, I don't think people dying. I didn't want to talk about. I don't know.
Dying in a badger's den.
Are you a
Not to mention, not to mention the person who died in badger's den, but anyone who died in a badger's den.
I don't know. I don't think I've got anything constructive.
And the fact
to
that he was, the fact that he was only discovered after they tried to gas the badger's den in a badger holocaust, it didn't pique your interest at all.
It did. I just didn't think I had anything to add.
As people can Google this and put together what we're talking about.
I'm sure they figured it out. Okay, so other show notes we've got?
Okay, so Scottish brother and sister caught having sex in a lift.
Oh, look, whatever. I didn't read the link. I just think there's worse.
Are
things
you
that
guys
could be
pro
done.
incest?
Yeah.
Against it? If you had a hot sister that was the same age as of a legal age, would you bang her? If she was into it? Obviously you don't want to rape her, right?
Oh, man.
Okay, next
Look,
subject.
No. Look, I saw this interesting... it wasn't a Venn diagram. I'm not sure what it was, but it was a diagram of the US of A. And it was sort of showing places where it's okay, where it's legal to marry your sister or cousin,
Oh, right,
and places where it's legal to marry like a same-sex partner. And there's like more places where it's legal to marry a family member than a same-sex.
Oh, same-sex partner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have any thoughts. I think as long as people are happy and doing the right thing, whatever.
What do you guys think of? Is it bigamy? We can marry more than two
Polygamy.
people? Polygamy?
Polygamy is where you can have multiple wives or husbands. Yeah.
Do you think that could work?
I think so. I guess.
I mean, I don't know if it actually does work. I haven't seen the stats on
I
those
think
relationships.
I think as long as it's... I think so often these types of arrangements are, well, at least polyamorous ones are tied in with religious...
Do you if you were like rich, like you had billions of dollars, and you could take in more than one woman and afford it, would you do it for charity? You know, get a refugee
No,
wife?
I'd probably give money to charity
Okay.
rather than taking a charity wife.
Yeah.
No, I'd probably just give money to a refugee woman
Yeah,
to
yeah.
live her own happy life.
Her own happy life.
rather
What if she
than-
loved you for the money you gave her and she fell in love with you?
That's fine. She can love me, but she doesn't have
Okay.
to
Marry you.
marry me or be in my
Yeah.
house or anything like that. She can...
So your charity doesn't extend that far? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
there's no penile charity. There's financial charity. That's it. I don't know. What is this?
Okay, Do you guys? Okay, I bought the Blu-ray set of Star Wars.
Oh, did you? Have you watched them?
No, I've been saving it for
Alright,
a marathon. You know.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's so tempting. I'll flick it on for 10 seconds and end up watching like half an hour.
So you have watched it?
No, well, not all of it. I've watched all the special features, but I've only watched like bits and pieces of the movies because I'm like, oh, I wonder what that bit was like. And but obviously, it's people are like saying I'm the devil for buying this Blu-ray set. But for the record, I never bought a previous version, so I'm just as bad as I think, in terms of finance, I'm just as bad as the people who bought the DVDs and the VHSs. What do you guys think about the changes he made? Do you guys have an opinion?
I haven't seen them.
Conceptually, like what are you morally? Do you have any objections?
Yeah, I think it's wrong to change the film unless you're going to also release the original film, because then you're kind of rewriting history, so to speak.
I mean, obviously,
I think you should give the option to people to watch it in its original format.
Obviously, he directed 4 of the 6 movies. He didn't direct 2 of them, and he's made changes to 2 of them, but the directors of those films, since the Blu-rays come out, between the DVDs and Blu-rays, have died, or one of them died ages ago, but...
Yeah, he didn't even direct them, so what right does he have to make changes?
Well, I guess once they died, he has the rights to them. Oh, he probably had the rights to them in the first place.
Rights. Sorry.
Do you have an opinion, Camel? No.
I think he can do whatever he wants.
Is the internet overblown?
Have
you seen the Amazon reviews for the...
I haven't seen the Amazon review. I did read some of the initial outcries over... but these are the same outcries that people had, Han's shot first and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think he can... I think they're his stories, and he's free to do whatever.
But would it stop you?
If he wants to put Jar Jar in in episodes 4, 5, 6, he can do that. Like, it's his.
Yeah. If someone gave you a gift voucher to buy the movies, would you buy them, or would you just not buy them on protest for him changing?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have any problem with buying them. Essentially,
yeah.
I think it's fine him playing with them and toying with them in concert. I mean, it's his work. It's his opus. It's his life's work. And if he wants to keep revising it and polishing it until, in his eyes, it shines, I don't have any problem with that. I think, for me, a greater problem was a work like the film of Watchmen.
Yeah.
Where the creator, the visionary, the writer, the man who formed that work, whose artwork it is, Alan Moore, had all of his thoughts, ideas, and emotions completely disregarded in the creation of that film.
Yeah.
He objected to every stage of it, didn't want anything to do with it, and hated the fact that it was being made. Whereas I see George Lucas as being the exact opposite, where he has complete control over it. And I think it's a wonderful thing
that he created.
Yeah, and I totally understand, that Star Wars really does have a life of its own and it's its own thing. But people also have to understand that, well, it's all George.
Yeah,
it's all his. None of it. People kind of go, well, we have a right to the originals because it was a cultural experience and because, blah, blah, blah. And I feel that. And I think people should have access to the originals.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you did back then. Yeah. And you thought those how you watched it back then was acceptable, then why is it not acceptable anymore?
Yeah. And what do you need the Blu-ray for?
Yeah.
Why don't you just get out the
VHS or the Laserdisc?
Or the 35mm reel.
Yeah, but I think you can download off Pirate Bay the Laserdisc versions,
yeah, look, I think Lucas should still make available the originals in their original form.
Obviously, there's a lot of remake video games coming out now, and a lot of them have, like, you press a button and it swaps back to the original version, so you can compare, and you can choose whether you want to play in what version, because obviously the original version was like only a megabyte, and so it's very easy to swap back to it, rather than obviously the new version is many more gigabytes because of the high resolution graphics and stuff like that. But
I mean, also, what do people want? Like, why? I don't quite understand.
It's like I think they want the Star Trek thing, because Star Trek, they're keeping it all the same, but they're redoing all the CGI in current CGI standards, but all the actual footage that was shot, like all the acting and stuff, hasn't been changed at all. I mean, as far as we know, I haven't heard anyone complaining about that stuff. Well, if they either complain because they don't have a copy of the original, or they don't mind because as long as there's no situation where you alter the acting, like who shot first kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think Lucas is going through. He's going, oh, okay, we're going to do the Blu-ray release. All right, I'll watch it again and let's check out the things that I want to update. I reckon these are things where he's like, or maybe he does. Maybe he's like, all right, let's do the Blu-ray. I'll watch it and I'll just take notes and then we'll fix the shit that I want fixed.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I want the fucking Ewoks to blink.
Yeah.
Maybe he does. And even so, that's cool. Why not? He's revisiting it. We're revisiting it because we want to watch it again. We want to watch it and go, we want to watch it in super high def and fucking on Blu-ray and see all the seams on the costumes and the gaffer tape on the, the sets.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to see every fucking little detail. So he's probably watching it and going, oh shit, that doesn't look so good. That's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
I want to fix that because, and let's bulk out a couple of extra characters there.
But the thing I noted was that the worst part of the movies is the CGI they did in the 1997 re-release.
Yeah, right.
That's the stuff that looks dated.
Because the original stuff was all models.
Yeah, yeah. And then they did CGI in 1997, and some of the spaceship stuff from 1997 looks awesome. But wherever they have an animal, there's, when the stormtroopers are riding these animals in the background, looks goddamn awful.
They should have just, perhaps if they're going to redo it, they should use the same tech that they used back in the day.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things, sorry to bang on, but with Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skulls, is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I was all pumped because when they first announced
they were talking about how they're going to use the same effects standards.
Yeah, they were
and they lied to us.
Yeah, they were like, we want to keep it. We want people to watch all 4 films in a row and not be able to tell that the 4th one's made, in 2009 or whatever. And I was like, holy shit, this is going to be wicked. They're going to be doing matte paintings and doing kind of lightning bolt effects painted on the cells, and they're going to do, prosthetics melting and just basic stunts. And they did it, and the whole thing's all lens flares and CGI weirdness and bloom light effects.
That whole scene where they're driving alongside a cliff, and that cliff obviously doesn't exist, and
the whole thing looks plastic, and I was just, because I watched it just a few weeks ago, it was on TV and I just happened to see it and I was like, oh yeah, and it just looks weird and plastic, and I was thinking, man, this looks so silicon, so artificial, whereas the others have that, and I know the 4 of us, Fred included, have gotten in numerous debates over the years. I think primarily with you, James, over how much we love models as opposed to CGI.
Yeah.
And just for me, models, just the fact that they're tactile, the fact that they're there, it just makes them so.
I like animation. I just don't like stop motion models.
Oh, okay. So it's just stop motion.
Yeah.
It was just yesterday at Nazario's birthday party where
James admitted that actually models do look better than CGI.
Yeah, well, look at
look at Terminator, look at Indiana
I've got
Jones,
Starship Troopers. I've got Starship Troopers on Blu-ray, and that holds up. It looks really awesome, and that was models, right? But
Starship Troopers all models for the aliens.
No, well, I don't know about the aliens, but all the spaceships and stuff like that was all models.
Yeah. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, and
that's in one of my favorite movies of all time.
Really, Starship Troopers?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That would be my top 10, top 5 maybe.
Who's that? That's the RoboCop dude, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Well, RoboCop's probably in my top 10 as well.
What's his name? Paul
Verhoeven.
Verhoeven.
You got a few movies in your top 10 there, James.
He's probably got 10.
Yeah, I would say True Lies, RoboCop 1, and Starship Troopers would be up there.
What about Batman Forever?
Batman Forever would be there as well. What I was going to ask you? What were we talking about before that we started going on a tangent? What was my favourite movie?
Which before the tangent were you thinking of?
Obviously, we said you were like, what other favourite movies that I like? Paul Verhoeven, Starship Troopers. Yeah, Starship Troopers, right? Using models, right? But, I got The Thing out on Blu-ray, which is being remade as we speak. And on Blu-ray, the movie, the cinematography looks amazing. but the stop motion monsters look no good.
Terrible.
They don't hold out. It almost feels like it would be better off if they had puppets, like in Empire Strikes Back. Like Yoda was a puppet. Looks better now than the stop motion. And I mean, RoboCop had the same thing. I think RoboCop had stop motion dudes in it as well.
Is that because Blu-ray's more frames per second?
I think people just were amazed by it back then. I think it's just dated because it's not. It's I think they animate it at a different frames per second to what's in the film, and it's such a specific shot, so it's not blended in with stuff that's going on. You see it. I mean, I like in Empire Strikes Back. Those the walkers.
Yeah.
Look pretty cool. Still look pretty cool. They're stop motion animation, but anything with animals. Stop motion animation looks bad. Like they should have used a puppet. Yeah. I mean, machines stop motion looks fine, but with animals or creatures, I think you need to use a puppet, not stop motion. But we were talking about Nazario's party.
Oh, just you. Yeah, it was quite a shocking sort of I don't know, reveal that you kind of sometimes preferred models to CGI.
Yeah, no, I like models. I get. But not stop motion models. If that makes sense.
but like you were just saying,
I mean, I like stop motion. Obviously,
there's context of it.
I like in a movie. Like obviously, I like Wallace and Gromit and stuff like that. That's awesome stop motion because it's all stop motion, But I don't like it being inserted into.
But it's about finding the right effect for the right.
Well, Phantom Menace, right? It's really interesting because that was right in the brink of CGI and things. So,
like awesome CGI.
Yeah. So they like. For example, like Phantom Menace in Naboo, the princess's palace, right?
Yeah.
If you notice all the waterfalls and stuff like that, that is their models.
Video footage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it sand?
Yeah, it's like sand falling off real models, and they insert other stuff and they combined it, and that's why Michael Bay is pretty cool also because he films a real explosion. And then he fits the robot in later. You know what I mean? So it actually looks like the robot's actually doing real damage, because he's actually doing real damage.
Because no one has yet managed to make a CGI explosion look any good whatsoever.
No, it doesn't look good. It's all about the mixture. You have to get the right mix of different things to get it right. You can't just rely on one technology to...
Oh, look, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't want to do a stop-motion explosion.
But I also like...
Or a puppet explosion.
You guys went and saw Dark Knight cinema. When that truck flips, that is like a heart-stopping moment,
Yeah.
And guess what? Filmed for real. He actually flipped that truck in real life. There's no CGI there.
Yeah.
And, filmed in IMAX, and it looks awesome. And I think...
Yeah,
until bloody James Cameron screwed it up with CGI, I thought we were on this really awesome turn where... we were going to go into, we're going to get movies that, they try and do awesome stuff for real, and go back to that.
What did Cameron do? How did he fuck?
Well, he made an all CGI, 3D film, Avatar.
Right.
And now
I'm not sure if he totally like that.
No, well, he didn't. I'm not to blame him for the CGI stuff because obviously he was using CGI and real people at the same time to make, a nice blend. So that movie, works, but the 3D, the success of everyone associated the success of that movie with 3D, and so everyone had to make these crappy 3D movies for the next 2 years afterwards.
But Avatar wasn't awesome because it was 3D. It was awesome because it was James Cameron doing an awesome film.
And it was awesome because he was like, let's create CGI where we give the actors power to do what they want to do, and perform. So you can see Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana acting behind those CGI creatures. They weren't just some...
Or it's not even like they're behind them. It's that they're within them. Or
every expression on their face, when you see every wrinkle in Sam Worthington's face, even though it's a blue creature, and not to say that the acting's that brilliant, but it feels authentic in that. Rather than you compare that to what Sudeikis, or whatever his name from Forrest Gump or whatever, is doing with the Polar Express and stuff like that.
What's going on there?
I've heard that his last movie was that the Scrooge movie was actually pretty good, but so he may have improved. I haven't seen the Scrooge movie with Jim Carrey yet.
I mean, he kind of went through a different. He went into CGI at a different kind of point in time, and a different angle, and a different approach, and it was sort of like. I don't think it works that well.
And also, have you guys seen Mars Needs Mums?
No.
That movie's infamous for bombing because everyone was just freaked out by it because it was all CGI, but just had the uncanny effect. I don't know what they call it. Uncanny Valley effect. It was on TV the other night. I saw it like 5 minutes of it.
Uncanny Valley effect?
It's like where it's approaching real, but not real enough that you kind of...
Yeah, so it
gives
falls
you
into this
creepy
valley
feeling.
Yeah, so if you're looking at a Yoda puppet, you go, oh, well, it's a Yoda puppet. And you know it's not real. But then your imagination fills in the space and it goes, all right, it's not real, but let's just play along. And then you have fun. And then there's real people and you go, oh, well, they're real people. Let's take them seriously. Da-da-da. But then there's this space which is just before real people, but they're not real. And it's the same way that if, human beings have this built-in, innate ability to detect irregularities in humans. It's really important on a sort of survival level to be able to spot if someone has a mental illness, if someone has a physical illness or a disfigurement or a limp, or we spot these things so quickly. And even if it's an internal struggle that someone's got, we're really good at being able to see visual signs of that. And so the uncanny valley, it triggers those sorts of those nervous responses in people. And so some CGI, if it's not quite right, it does that, and it's aiming for realism. It'll do that. And robotics as well. Yeah. When they're trying to get robotics that are really naturalistic, if they're just that little bit off, people just go, this is fucking weird. And they won't accept it. Whereas, those Mitsubishi, dancing robots, the soccer robots.
If it is
everyone sort of goes, oh, yeah, that's, it's a soccer robot, whatever. Yeah. It's that fine line where they've almost got it perfect. And that's the worst. Because, what was that? We're talking about Avatar, but what about that Final Fantasy film that was made? that was pretty incredible. Or is it not anymore? I haven't seen it in so long.
Well, I haven't seen the Blu-ray of it, but it is... the thing is, that was made so much earlier than like Polar Express and Mars Needs Mums, but it has a lot less Uncanny Valley stuff about it.
Yeah.
There's still some moments, mainly when characters are walking, you can tell, but the actual close-ups are pretty authentic. I can watch that and appreciate it still. But it is a bit dated, I guess. But that was the thing about the movie; it was so far ahead of its time.
Because that was all motion capture as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe
Didn't they develop a whole motion capture software and technique for
I think so for the movement, but I think all the facial expressions were hand animated. That's what made it more authentic than Mars Needs Mums and stuff like that, which is using motion capture. Oh, did you watch the blogs about LA Noire?
No. Where
they put all their concentration in motion capturing their face, but the body was just done by animators. So there are weird situations where the face looks just so realistic, but the body is just not synced up to it that it looks really weird. That was... The thing is, games, you kind of accept bad stuff, so you don't worry. So people still were impressed by LA Noire because it still looked more realistic than other stuff, because you kind of have that prejudice against gaming.
But I think gamers are happier to... Or, because it's such a young art form, when one plays a video game... While one's playing it, they do deconstruct the all the elements that went into producing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you go to go watch a film, you should, in theory, get swept up in it so that you're not analysing all the different details. It's only when something goes wrong that it jumps out. Whereas I think with the video games, it is so young that we play them and we go, it's sort of like, oh, there's this and there's this bit and there's this bit and there's this. It's almost like, oh wow, how are they doing it? Even for people that are naturalized gamers who've been playing them since they were born, I think it still happens because it's such an, I don't mean this in a bad way, but such an immature art form.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean that as though it's still maturing.
Obviously, I think Pixar prides itself on not using any motion capture technology at all. But, I mean, I guess, that's what I think. I guess, I think the groundbreaking thing about Avatar was, I mean, everyone thought the groundbreaking thing was at 3D, but I thought it was the use of motion capture to make actually good motion capture, not dodgy.
3D is so shit. Like, after about 2 minutes, you don't even notice it's in 3D.
Yeah.
It's the biggest waste of time.
And people just don't. I think if you used it good, it would be. I hope. I have a feeling that, I'd be the proof would be in the pudding with the Dark Knight or the Dark Knight sequel. Because I think he's not doing that 3D. He's doing it in IMAX, like the original Dark Knight.
Is the whole thing going to be in IMAX?
I don't think so, but
Why not? Why don't they just give him like all the money in the world to do the whole thing in IMAX?
At some point, I think he's going to start doing it like that because if you've seen the roadmap for these, the Red camera, right? Eventually, you're going to be able to hold your DSLR will be an IMAX camera. That's their roadmap.
No.
Yeah.
Man.
Every person on Earth will be able to have an IMAX camera.
No!
Yeah.
That is like the best thing ever.
Yeah. Won't that be crazy? Like everyone's just shooting video, like, and then you'll project it on your home theater screen that's huge, takes up the whole wall, and it'll look real, pixel for pixel, like reality. That's the reality we're going towards. And I think that'll be better, even though it's only 2D, I think that'll be better than anything 3D, personally.
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah. Man.
High
IMAX
resolution.
just looks mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Those IMAX Dark Knight bits are just so real. Yeah. And you're swept up in that world.
Yeah,
you get caught in that world.
Yeah, full size. It doesn't feel like miniatures or anything.
Yeah, there's no compression. There's no sort of filter between you and the experience. You watch it and you go, "Holy shit! I'm robbing a bank with these motherfuckers right now."
I even find that if I take a photo with my fisheye lens on the 8 megapixel camera and put it on this 30-inch screen and sit right in front of it, because this is 30-inch screen. This 30-inch screen is way, like a 1080p video only takes up like a third of this whole screen. So you're watching, if you put the whole screen, it's like 4K or something like that. And you sit there and just look at the screen so you can't see, just close enough so you can't see other stuff. It feels like you're looking into a window, a real window, like you're looking at stuff outside.
And that's only 8 megapixels.
How much is an IMAX camera?
To buy?
Yeah.
Oh, they're like $1 million each.
Yeah?
Yeah. But that will be...
film?
The rate we're going, the DSLR cameras are $2,000. You'll be able to get... I reckon within 10 years, you'll be able to get one for an IMAX quality camera in 10 years.
70 megapixels is an IMAX quality camera.
It's not that much. It would be... I mean, I don't know.
And how many pixels per square inch?
I don't know. But it's not that much. Because video, it's not that much. Like cameras,
how far away off are we? Like, what's 1080p compared to an IMAX camera? It's like twice or 10 times?
1080p is really small compared to IMAX. But okay, for example, the digital cameras that Vogue uses to take photo shoots, right?
Come on, Vogue.
Vogue.
Sorry.
No. They are 39 megapixels, right?
Right.
Wow.
So that we've already got that, and that's old. They've probably updated since I last looked at it. That was like 5 years ago. They were 39 megapixels, right? All you have to do is get a computer that can make 39, and that sensor is bigger than an IMAX film sensor, I think, the ones they use for Vogue, right? The 39 megapixels. All they have to do is technology to process so it can take those 139 megapixel photo 24 of those per second, and suddenly you've got an IMAX camera in your pocket,
So is an IMAX camera only 24 frames per second, or is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can film, if you film faster, you can do better slow motion stuff, But 24 frames is the basic.
That's what they broadcasted.
Yeah. Also, what will be really interesting is The Hobbit, right? Because they're filming that at 48 frames per second. So that hopefully, and they're filming on their Red Epic, which is the next generation of the Red camera, which will hopefully that's almost IMAX. The Epic is upgradable, so eventually you can have an IMAX quality sensor, but it'll be the closest. And they're filming at 48 frames. I don't know if you noticed, but if you film at 24 frames, if you see a panning shot in 24 frames per second on a movie, right, it stutters. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but hopefully he reckons what's his name? Peter Jackson reckons if we film at 48 frames, you won't get that stutter. So he's going to be filming at really high resolution at 48 frames per second. So that could be the first movie. If you go see it in a real cinema that can handle that full quality, it's going to be mind blowing. The Hobbit. So that'll be the first test.
Is he filming it? I mean, is he directing it?
Yeah.
He is?
Yeah.
I thought he wasn't directing it.
Yeah, they had this tossing and turving, and then eventually he said, fine, I'll direct it.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck was that about? Because he came out and they're like, yeah, we're going to produce The Hobbit, and I'll be like...
he'll be like the George Lucas, you know.
Yeah, and I'll oversee it, and we're going to get Del Toro to do it or whatever, and I was like,
well, Del Toro pulled out because they were taking so long to set it up because it's such an epic movie, all the things that he was like, and then he had that success with, what was the film he did that was his own indie movie? The kid
Pan's Labyrinth?
Pan's Labyrinth. He was like, hey, I want to make more movies like this, which is my own stuff. I don't want to have to go do Tolkien stuff, you know. So he got sick of it and quit. And that gave Peter Jackson the politics say, hey, you know, you can let me direct it or this whole film's going to go to crap. And they're like, fine, you can direct it. The money maker.
What, so they weren't sure about letting him direct it or what? Because it's like...
I don't know. I think he was resistant at first.
Like the decade almost.
Yeah, but I think he was at first resistant to direct it, and by the time he decided he wanted to direct it, he lost the power to say that he could. You know, I don't know. I can't remember. It's been
anyway,
so
it just confused the hell out of me. Where it's like, dude, you did the other three, just fucking do the Hobbit. Like, what, you made a huge trilogy, and you're not going to just make one more film?
Yeah. Well, no, they're splitting in two, so it's two films.
Oh, well, just do it. Don't be a bum. Just get it over with.
I thought The Hobbit was a better story than The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but it's a small book, but they're splitting. They're doing
they'll
the
be
full
able to do it sweet
adaptation. Like I guess, you know, the last Harry Potter movie was split into two films.
Yeah, so they could do the whole thing, even though they didn't.
Have you been listening to the Harry Potter CD?
No, I left it at my parents' house. I was spewing.
Fucking hell, beans,
I was spewing.
Man.
What's the Harry Potter CD?
Oh, Brian and Harry
Context
put
for
together, and
you wouldn't like it, James. Don't worry about it.
And you Harry
Oh,
Potter.
I'm just saying context for listeners.
Just some more.
Harry and Bryony, for my birthday, put together a Harry Potter mixtape for me of songs.
Harry Potter fan bands.
Whiz Rock. Of which I'm quite fond.
We've
So it's all Harry Potter themed music.
Right.
No, not themed music.
So it's
Harry
kind of
Potter
like
center music.
Fet's Vet, but for it's Harry Potter.
Yeah, and how many Whiz Rock bands are there? There are like 1,000 or something Whiz Rock bands. It's just insane. There's really
at least 1,000, probably more.
And there's some really golden stuff out there, and I'm looking forward to listening to some more of it.
There is at least 2 just spot on tracks on that. But I'll let you
explore
at your leisure.
Yeah, some of us are big Harry Potter fans. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Harry?
I'm also a big Potter fan.
Pontifex is a
non-believer.
Loser.
I don't actually know what it's about. Like, I know Hermione Granger because she got a fanny out on Superficial, and I know there's a guy called Harry Potter because that's what it's called, but that's all I know.
That's it. This is somehow James has managed to stick his head under a rock and not know anything about Harry Potter. You know what? One of my favorite things. No, that's ridiculous. I was about to say one of my favorite things on the internet, but that's not true. Something that I heard years and years ago was a girl who was describing the Star Wars trilogy, although she'd never seen it.
Oh, right,
so she was just describing what it was about based on over the decades she gathered from friends and family, and she was just talking about it. So are you, James, are you able to just sum up Harry Potter for us? Or the plot line based on what you have gathered.
That would be a good podcast for me to try and work out what it is.
Just tell me what you
Okay, so I'll tell you
Harry
what I know about
what
Harry Potter.
What do you know? Just tell me the story of Harry Potter.
I saw a trailer once before a movie that I was going to see, and my sister is obsessed. She talks about it all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't pay attention to it, so I've overheard things.
Tell us. What is Harry Potter about? Harry Potter's about...
So this guy called Harry goes to boarding school, but it turns out it's a wizard school, right? For wizards. And he has a tattoo of a lightning bolt on his head because he thinks it's cool, right? And he goes there and he's like not very cool, but then he joins the Quidditch team, which is kind of like ice hockey but on broomsticks, right? And he he's just like a defensive linesman, and then he and no one gives him crap. But then, like, one game, he saves the day, and he becomes really popular at school. Like, he's the cool guy because he saved the day playing Quidditch. And then some bad guy, either the devil, I'm guessing, says that guy is not cool enough, so I'm going to try and kill him and all his family. And so Harry Potter the Wizard spends the next 7 books trying to kill this guy. And that's pretty much what I did.
You got pretty close. Yeah, that's pretty
spot
close.
on. Yeah.
I think the only fact you got wrong was that it's not it's not a tattoo.
Oh, and he didn't bang the hot girl, which is Hermione Granger.
Fact.
The ginger banged him. Banged him. No good?
It's all pretty accurate. It's all. I think the only thing you got wrong was the tattoo. I think that was it. Really, wasn't it?
He didn't get the tattoo to be cool, a lightning bolt like Akadaka.
No, it's a scar.
No.
It's a scar. That's the only thing
And
you got wrong.
he didn't play defensive linesman in the Quidditch team.
Ever?
Never.
Oh,
He was recruited because he
was a good seeker.
I don't even know what that means.
Well,
I think I was chatting to Liz, or we were listening to the Harry Potter mixtape, or something was happening, and I was just thinking about all these words that J.K. Rowling's kind of throwing into modern usage.
incredulously.
I wasn't so much thinking about that.
Never heard of that word before.
In the same way that
Still don't know what it means.
yeah, I don't know.
Probably like
No,
the
go on,
Force, the Jedi, and the Sith.
Yeah, similar to that. Yeah, similar to that. Or like
Pod
Lewis
racing.
Carroll did stuff like that, and it was Frank Brom did things like that as well. Would make up these words, and like Quidditch and Seeker and Quaffle and Snitch and and they all take on these different meanings.
There's this girl that I like. She has
tell us more.
Elvish.
Is she still hot?
She's still hot. She has Elvish tattooed on her arm. And I think she's told me what it says, but I've forgotten. But
She sounds pretty nerdy.
yeah, I don't get the connection. But she's never really talked about Elvish stuff otherwise.
That's cool.
Because I'd known her before I decided I liked her. I'd known her for a year and just dismissed her as not someone to like. And because that's how I am.
That's how you roll.
Because I thought it was like some how people go to Bali and they get some Indonesian thing that's meant to say spiritually life is awesome kind of thing.
So light.
And I just brushed it off as like, oh, she's got one of those lame tattoos. But she's
got a tattoo from a made-up language, which
Yeah.
all of a sudden, holy shit!
I was like, oh, I feel bad for thinking you're an
Does
idiot.
it say like life is awesome?
I don't know.
In Elvish?
It probably
Yeah.
does.
It probably says like meet you on the western
But she said that
shores.
she works at a pub, and she says that every now and then when she's handing the drinks, she knows if it's a nerd because they recognize the writing and say, oh my god, that's from like Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Did she give him a free drink?
I don't know.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
They should.
It should be a code. It probably says like if you can read this, you can get 1 free pint of beer. All right, what's the next section now?
Did you get a tattoo in
Do you want to move on to auto?
Too bad.
Auto news, James. Do you have any auto news?
Well, I can give my F1 update.
Please do.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah, we're waiting.
Sorry, I was waiting.
Oh, well.
I thought you were just
do
gonna
you want me to go
launch into
straight into F1?
Yeah.
Okay, so I watched the race on the weekend. It is quite a few races.
So
ahead
F1
of-
stands for
last
Formula
time we
One.
talked, it was the China Grand Prix.
For those who don't
yeah.
know. It's the first Formula.
You got Ferraris, McLarens, Renaults, Lotuses racing against each other, and
Which sounds strange, really, doesn't it?
yeah,
Ferrari, McLaren, Lotus, and Renault.
yeah.
But in the world of Formula One,
I mean, there
that's
used
not
to be
strange.
Toyota and Honda, but they quit,
They quit.
and BMW quit.
How come Renault's so awesome at Formula One, and then like when they make road cars, not so awesome? Or
I
rather,
think
the different
Renault. The thing
marketing
is,
strategy.
the thing about Renault is that it's mainly their engine that's awesome. They have won a few like championships, but the actual engine wins more championships than themselves because they license the engine to other teams.
How come they're so good at making wicked engines?
I don't know. So it was in Korea, South Korea. It's a really weird track because they've built it, I think, in like the middle of nowhere, and there's a couple of grandstands, and the rest of it's empty, so it feels like it's in this ghost town. And I know the drivers complain of a lack of atmosphere because, I don't know if they can actually... I find it hard to believe they can actually hear the crowd.
Or even give a shit.
Yeah.
Aren't they too busy, like, steering this insane rocket around the track at hundreds of kilometres
when
an
they're
hour?
qualifying, that some of the laps you're doing is not... You're just warming up for the next lap and stuff like that.
Man, surely they don't have time just to, like, look up.
And then they spend the whole time doing publicity when they're not racing. So.
Oh, okay. I guess you get a feel for what's going on there.
So it's a pretty lame track. But and it's all. They've started. I see this year they've started planting trees to like make it more like appeal rather than just this big flat landscape. But basically, it was pretty boring because even though Lewis Hamilton in the McLaren out-qualified Sebastian Vettel, I was like, oh, so excited that we might have a race. But of course, he got overtaken the first few laps, and then Sebastian Vettel went on to win. So it was pretty lame in the end. That's my summation.
So F1,
lame.
Shit location,
shit I'm worried that
shit teams, shit race.
Well, see, I was really big into F1 when I was like 12, 13, and then Michael Schumacher went on his like 7-year run of winning it, and it was just so boring that I stopped paying attention. And then I got back into it when Lewis Hamilton won. And I was like, he won in like the last race of the season, like in the last turn of the corner. And it was like, wow, everyone was just like, oh. And I was like, oh man, I want to be a part of it. The next 2 seasons were like that. It came right down to the last race for them to win. It was really exciting, the whole thing. But this year, it's clear that they've just dumbed the rules. Because every year they change the rules to try and make it competitive. But this year they've made a few mistakes and it's just become more boring.
There's a fine line, is it? Because the technology is right on that cutting edge that they're doing.
Yeah.
They're like right on the avant-garde. So if you're trying to restrict them, you've got to be really careful.
It's just fundamental,
with what
the problem where they have qualifying, right? But then basically, as long as the guy in the front makes it through the first 3 laps in front, it's game over for everyone else, It would be so exciting if it had a reverse grid. So the person who won the previous race had to start last. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you had to work your way up to the top. Yeah.
It's a handicap.
How exciting would that be? It would be intense, Or at least put every... if you qualify first or second, doesn't matter. You start on the same position,
Yeah.
But maybe the person who goes first gets to pick which side of the track he wants, and if he thinks one side of the track's faster than the other, he can pick that. So that... at least we have a battle for first and second to get through the first corner first. At least we have something to look forward to. But they have just not changing that. I'm worried that they're going to go. This Sebastian Vettel, he's in the best team at the moment, and he isn't that great a driver, but they've hired the best car designer in the world to do this, right? And
all the cars look the same.
And basically, whatever team he is, well, they look the same to the naked eye, right? But they're completely different, everyone. But this is not like,
if your eye puts on
IndyCar where they
clothes.
literally are the same car.
Yeah, why don't they rock one of them around the track?
Renault should get into something.
Yeah. So,
James, like, shut the fuck up.
So yeah, basically, this Adrian Newey, right? Whatever team he, who's
designs for
wins every year. And he's with this team, and they've got this young driver. And so I'm worried that if they keep paying him heaps of money and he stays with that team, they're going to win the next 7 years, because unless they change the rules heaps. Like, there was previous years where, cars that weren't Adrian Newey designed could still win because they had, like, refueling. So you had all the tactics of, how much fuel you're carrying, like the extra weight of the fuel, which makes you go slower, versus the extra speed you get by having...
and the extra stops you got to make by not having all that fuel in there.
So that was all this intense. Like, the last season they did that 2 years ago was one of the best seasons ever, because it was just, you were just following each team's tactics and trying to work it out, and it was just so fun to watch. But I think they've removed refueling now, and now it's the only thing variable is the tires. But the team that's winning at the moment has worked out the tires now, so there's no interesting things happening. So we're moving on. Car news. What's your favourite car at the moment, Harry? What's
Just
hot on
looking
your
on the
spot?
internet right at the moment. Renault 8.
Renault 8.
Tell us a little bit about it.
It's fucking hot as.
So is this look, I'm just going to play
Devil's advocate.
devil's advocate and say, is this a new car? Is this an old car?
Nah, it's an old shitty bomb. My dad used to have a Renault 6, I think.
Oh, did he?
And my uncle used to have 7 Renaults in his backyard, all of one of
I think
which
your dad got kicked out of France.
he did.
I love that. That's like the best story ever.
For
Why?
camping out in the
Okay.
middle of a roundabout
Because he was
in France somewhere.
Yeah, he was in.
Was he partying or just hoboing?
That was part of the Occupy
I
movement.
never quite understood the story.
It was a hippie movement thing.
Yeah,
was Occupy.
he was there was a large group of them sleeping in the middle of a roundabout because it was a very big roundabout.
So if it was a small roundabout, he would have been safe.
gotten away with it.
Yeah, or probably, well,
Yeah.
There would have been fewer.
there already would have been a couple of them there, yeah. But it was a large roundabout, there was a lot of them sleeping there.
Drew attention to themselves.
And
Probably
so
playing
they
games.
tossed them out across the border.
So this Renault 8, it's taking your fancy.
I think Dad used to have a Renault 6
I like any car with blinds at the back, Venetian blinds.
Venetian blinds. But check out the double headlights at the front there. That's all.
Yeah, the quad headlights and
Yeah.
the rally version. Now, look, I did pay out on Renault streetcars just earlier, and I do need to take that back because I believe both the Renault Megane and the Renault something else took out Wheels Car of the Year awards for last year
Do you have a
in their
Renault
segments.
Here's a Citroen, do you?
I've got a Renault.
Oh, you have a Renault, so you're bagging them and you drive them.
Oh, look, I was just being cheeky. What I meant was, you were mentioning the F1 teams at the moment
Yeah.
being McLaren, Ferrari, and Lotus.
Well, they're
whose
the
road
recognisable
cars-
brands. There's other
Oh,
teams that are
okay.
like there's the Virgin team that's sponsored by Richard Branson, and
Oh, okay.
there's Red Bull, which is sponsored by the Red Bull dude. But they're the car brands you recognise.
Yeah. And then Renault, who's...
I mean, McLaren is a
family.
racing team. They make cars as like special editions, but they're more of a
Well,
racing
they've
team.
only got like one model out at a time ever.
Yeah. But that might change. This new car they brought out is apparently meant to be the first of like their thing, trying to do what Ferrari does, where they have cars and racing at the same time.
Well, there you go.
See, my dad and my uncle used to have just stacks of Renaults.
Stacks
That's
of
what
them?
Dad used to have.
They used to stack them up.
Renault 6. Yeah, well,
Probably
my
could
uncle used to
stack
have like a giant backyard with like 8 Renaults in it, and like one of them used to work.
Is a collector or just he just like?
Or was he
putting-
putting together one Renault? And
He was
needed
putting
all-
together one Renault,
Yeah,
and he like,
yeah,
had all
that
these
sort
other
of-
shitty cars.
Yeah.
And like it'd always be breaking down, and it'd always be like more trouble than it was worth. But like,
That's so weird, yeah.
yeah, but Dad, do you remember Dad used to have a Renault in the backyard, and we used to like sit in it and like
Yeah, was that a Renault?
that was a Renault 6.
And did it ever get driven?
It looked exactly like that.
It probably did. I don't
I
remember.
need-
It was
I need-
green. I remember
It was
being
green. Yeah, it was like olive green.
yeah.
I need you to look up the Renault my dad used to have. It's a Renault Fuego.
Oh man, that's a hot car.
Renault. How do you spell it?
AULT.
What? AU.
Yeah, just
Oh,
Google it.
so-
Google and know.
They're not going to know from that. Renault is spelled RENAULT.
You mean Renault, the full name?
And then Fuego is FUEGO.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh my god.
Yeah, look at that shit. I think it's what they based the Inspector Gadget car on. Like the
Oh, you're totally right.
yeah,
That is Inspector Gadget car.
yeah. Ba-dum-ba-dum.
Dun, 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 dun.
It had velour seats.
Oh no.
Was he like the coolest guy in school?
Well, he was. Well, for me, he was that. I mean, that car blew my mind when I was a kid. Look at it.
Did
And
he have it when you were? Do you remember it, or did he get it after?
No,
you?
no, I remember it. I remember
How
driving
old were you
in
when,
that
like-
shit. Like, I was in primary school. It was probably early primary. No. It was just primary school, I think.
So you got a couple of years yet before you need to get a totally sweet
Yeah.
car.
I mean, look at that thing. It's still so awesome to look at.
It's pretty hot. That back windscreen.
Yeah. I think Dad had like the blinds on the windscreen as well, but it
Oh,
wasn't
nice.
Venetian ones. It was like a plastic molded one. You know how
Yeah,
they used
yeah,
to do
oh,
those
yeah,
ones? Yeah. And it was hot as
Why
all
didn't they do those
hell.
anymore?
I think it was a Toyota Sleeker he drove, but
Oh, was it?
Toyota Slicker possibly was a rip-off of...
I always thought Inspector Gadget... Oh.
Because is Inspector Gadget Japanese? So they would be using Japanese cars, right?
But it turned into 2 cars, so it was kind of weird. But he had those sort of...
Your dad's car turned into 2
No,
cars.
Inspector, shut up. It had the awesome wheels as well, so if you scroll up, some of them have, like... Yeah, you see that top left one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those wicked... No, top left, other side. Yeah, the one to the right? Yeah, those wheels are the ones Dad had.
Oh, awesome.
It looks like someone's done like a Fuego concept car underneath that one, which is so cool. So the Fuego had velour seats. It was a coupe. It was very cramped inside. Lots of glass as well. It had a big glass back. So in the summer, it got incredibly hot. And the velour was, nice and insulating, so it made you get even hotter. Oh, look, here is an Inspector Gadget car for reference. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell what that...
I get what you got it from. That totally... The angles and the stripe down the middle. And,
The stripe down the side.
And the plastic blinds.
The plastic blinds. There's a lot of... I reckon you could deck out a Renault Fuego as a cosplay Inspector Gadget car really easily.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of Renault experience growing up. One of my fondest memories is of driving, of Dad driving from down south, Dunsborough, back to Perth, and it was in the middle of summer, and it was sweaty and hot, and I was sitting in the back seat, and Mum was in the front passenger, and all of a sudden, Mum was saying, "Are you alright?" And he's like, yeah, and he's all sweating. And the air conditioner didn't work so well in these things. They're French cars. It's for cold climates. Anyway, all of a sudden he pulls into this car park. This car park that's at a shopping centre in the middle of fucking nowhere off the freeway. And he, screeches the car up, stops the car, slams the brakes, turns the car, opens the car door, and just, staggers out into the shopping centre and then lays on the footpath in the middle of the shopping centre, in front of the automatic doors, and he's laying in the shade, and he almost passes out, and there's people having to walk around him, and he's sweating, and he was just delirious, and he was just dehydrated. He was sweating and dehydrated and delirious, and he almost threw up, and
they don't call it the Fuego for nothing.
No, that's exactly right. And Mum was like, "What the fuck?" And Dad was like, yeah. Well, he wasn't. He was like, "Oh." And we had to wait for about an hour before Dad was all right. And then
I'll probably save it for another future podcast, but I have a story about cars from my youth that I remember that being a big deal.
Yeah. So that was the Renault Fuego. Dad had to give it up because it was costing heaps in repairs, more so than just to get a new car sort of thing.
Like the Jag.
We don't talk about the Jag.
We don't talk about the Jaguar. And then my mum got a Renault Scenic, which is a totally awesome MPV. And then I inherited it when she got a new model Renault Scenic. So this sort of, onto a bit of a thing. And Mum's looking at getting a Renault Megane now. So my family like French cars.
How do you spell Megane?
Megane.
This is a vowel. I know a guy whose last name is McGann, but without the vowels. Or it has an A, but not the E. So it's Margan.
Oh.
That's a pretty sweet name.
He said he was cool before Flickr came along.
So is that it for auto news? Or do we have anything more there? It looks like we were pegged to talk about some concept cars.
Well, I think we've touched enough. We can probably talk about more. Save it for next week.
I think we've touched enough in order to...
we've got to wrap up in 10 minutes, so...
Call our podcast Fangin.
I just wanted to talk about... This is James's corner here. But I'm thinking about getting to baseball this summer. Perth Heat, back in town.
Oh, no way. Perth Heat were hot back in the day.
Yeah.
Did they go away? Are they coming back?
They did go away for a few weeks. So the Perth Heat...
For a few weeks?
For a few years. Perth Heat now is not the same Perth Heat in terms of a corporation. They just bought the naming rights and renamed it Perth Heat so people recognise the name. But yeah, I'm thinking of going to some games because I'm like... I don't know. I'm just like, what is this baseball?
First Perth Heat game I went to, I caught a fly ball.
You've been to a Perth Heat game?
What?
Did you play baseball?
I used to play T-ball. I was too young to play
and
baseball.
Did you get like free? They gave you free tickets, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They were giving away a lot of free tickets back in the day.
There were a lot of free tickets flying around. You just had to live in Perth.
I remember
to get
I
free
didn't
tickets.
when I was young. I didn't understand the concept. We could segue into our next segment by you talking about this, but I took for granted sports tickets. I never understood the appreciation of buying tickets. I thought, you only go to sports when you get free tickets. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because through hockey we got free tickets to like the Hockeyroos or the Diamondbacks or whatever the WA team is, and we used to have like school camp things with the Wildcats. They used to give us free tickets to the Wildcats games, but I don't think I ever went to one of them.
Oh, we got heaps of free. What we got? Free waffle tickets.
Yeah, because me and Harry went to the same primary school when we were really young, like 1 to 4, and Leadville Primary School was right next to the West Perth Falcons home ground. We used to get free tickets for every game, and then this segues into our next segment, which is the Pepsi Max launch mini section, where we got free tickets.
Are you going to talk about getting into baseball anymore, or is that it?
Nah, it's Pepsi
Or
Max.
do you guys want to go? I think it's $10 entry for like the preseason games, and they're playing preseason games. They're playing against the US All Stars. I don't know what that means. Whether there's people coming over from America to play or not.
Or whether they're US citizens that live here.
Yeah.
Or whether they just call themselves.
But if you look at, on Wikipedia, they actually have the current playing squad for Perth Heat, and 50% of the team is American. I guess there's all these Americans that don't make it to the big leagues and
come and play in Perth.
That's
a bit sad.
because they play baseball in summer. You play baseball in summer, right? But of course, the Americans are going to winter now, so all those baseball players that are trying to get match practice want to come to other countries where they play baseball to play the season. I think
come to Japan.
Australia is probably the only. I don't know. Hemisphere. No, but that's the Northern Hemisphere as well. Yeah. So I think Australia may be the only league in the Southern Hemisphere where they can actually come play.
Probably is.
I didn't know they even played baseball in Australia. But
no, well, yeah, they went for 10 years from like 1990 to 2000. They went kaput. The actual professional league, and then they just had like the Western Healers, which were like the WA state team, like the Western Warriors, and then Perth Heat came back and to play. They started the league again just like 2 years ago, and Perth Heat won the last year, so they're the 2011 champions.
So that's why you want to go and see the games, because
I'm jumping on the bandwagon.
Oh fuck! I was into Perth Heat
until you found out that.
Anyway.
And they've stolen the lead picture from the team they beat in the final, the Australian series last thing. So
they've stolen their picture
from the team they beat in the final.
Picture, not like their logo.
No. So yeah.
I mean, back in the day, you guys were getting free tickets to just about everything, the opening of a fridge door and so on. But do you want to tell us a story about the greatest free tickets you ever received? Probably the greatest free tickets that were ever given to anyone ever.
Yeah. So, I've been trying to remember what year it was, but I have a feeling maybe West Perth was in it. That's why we got the free tickets. And it was the grand final.
It was either year 6 or 7.
Yeah, and it was South. It was obviously played at Subiaco Oval.
What was played
and I'm pretty sure the opposition team that at least I was not going for was Claremont.
West Australian Football League Grand Final.
Yeah. It may have been called West Star Rules back then. Remember when that period? They rebranded it to make it more exciting. Yeah, West Star Rules.
Yes, that rings a bell. Yeah. Even with me, someone who despises football.
So we went to the Waffle Grand Final. We got free tickets, and I guess it was a bunch of school group kids sitting together, and it was the launch of Pepsi Max in Perth.
Shut up.
Pepsi Max. Everyone's been drinking it, but we were there right from the beginning, from the start. And it was
really a grassroots kind of.
So the promotion was the Waffle Grand Final, which is not as big as, even back then, was not as big as like a West Coast home and away game. And they had these abseilers abseiling down from the top of the stadium and throwing out. I don't know how they did it without not killing people by dropping his cans, but
Pretty sure they weren't the ones throwing out the Pepsi.
they got to the ground and then started handing out maybe. Or,
Yeah. I remember receiving Pepsi Max on my way out of the stadium from a van.
No, but yeah. Well, that's how we got it. But they did they did this big stunt.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and
they were abseiling from the ceiling.
yeah, and I think
They had flags. They
I
had,
think they had even parachuters that landed in the middle of the open
I
plane.
think they did.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
It was this.
So that means they flew a plane.
There was a plane.
If there were
being flown.
parachuters, there had to
Yeah.
be planes.
Well, I think the parachuters in Perth would do anything to be in any promotion. I remember at Perth Glory, they had a parachute at every game come down and land as part of the intro to the game.
So desperate just to get up.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
Hey, it's pretty expensive to do it, I think. So anyone that gets a free ride will do it,
Yeah, but what's the expense of throwing someone up there?
Well, they have to pay the fuel cost of the plane, which is pretty expensive. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
pretty expensive thing.
Yeah, well, it's
And,
part of the-
people-
Do people love watching someone parachute?
I love watching someone.
Yeah, and they have the
Yeah,
target on the middle of the ground, and they have to see how close they get to the center. They put the target out in the middle of the
And do people bet on it? I bet.
or the child Korea's going, yeah, oh no, he stuffed up, he landed on the target. Ah.
Do people boo him when they're
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do
at
they
least
get
the
to
glory. I
mention-
can't remember back in the football days, but
Do they get to throw Pepsi Max cans out?
yeah. So that's our reminisce of the week.
It's because Pepsi Max is too delicious. They wouldn't throw it.
Oh,
Yeah.
safe bet. Safe
But they
bet.
we walked out of the stadium and there was people just having big piles of it, just handing it out like there's no tomorrow.
Now, listeners at home might think this is just a off-the-cuff story. Let me assure you, it's not. It comes up at least once a week. Either
day
Harry
we were
or
there.
James, reminiscing about the launch of Pepsi Max in Perth, Western
Yeah.
Australia. So every week we're going to have a Pepsi Max reminisce where they try to remember more details or
yeah.
perhaps in the
Yeah.
intervening weeks.
I've got
dig
some
into-
juicy gossip about
Oh.
some of the people we had to compete against to get to the game. So look forward to this teaser.
Yeah, look, I there's going to be more history that's embedded deep in their psyche that'll come to the surface, I'm sure. Do we have anything else on the agenda?
I think your cutoff time is 11 o'clock, so we might have to wrap up. But
we've got 1 minute. Question of the week. Harry's gone to the bathroom.
yeah, that's what I'm
Which
saying.
might be suitable because the question is, could you ever imagine yourself... Oh no, would you rather eat a poo or drink a... No, would you rather eat a dinner plate full of your own feces or drink a pint of Fred's urine? So Harry's off to the bathroom contemplating that question right now. Yeah, so this has been... what are we called? Fangin' around.
Yeah, fanging around.
Fangin' around. Next
Episode
week...
2. We haven't actually released episode 1, but I guess that will keep that as a backup in case we don't do a week.
Oh, here we go. This is the last question. This is the question of the week.
Question of the week.
Would you rather eat a dinner plate full of your own feces or drink a pint of Fred's urine? Harry?
Fred's piss.
James?
I don't know if it's a simple answer. Do we have chasers?
I figure once it's in, you can do whatever you need to do.
As long as you've consumed it.
Look, I think a big part of it is digesting it. I reckon it's got to go through your body.
Yeah.
And I just think no, it's the urine. I honestly couldn't care whose
Someone
urine
else's
it is.
urine rather
Someone
than
else's.
your own
That's fine.
feces.
No, anyone else's. Anyone. You find
It'd
me
be easier
anyone
to
on the
get
planet.
down the piss.
The feces, it will make you sick though. It
Yeah.
will actually make you sick. The urine won't. The
Yeah.
urine,
As long as it's fresh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's not that fresh, I'd much rather prefer it. The shit will make you it will give you cholera, won't it? It will make you proper sick.
The shit will make you sick.
Yeah.
What if you take
You're probably right.
antibiotics with it?
No, it doesn't
No.
matter. It will just fuck you up.
It's full of probiotics and prebiotics that'll make you vom. I think that's what counts.
What if it was not your own crap, but say Christine Aguilera's crap?
No.
No,
I drink her piss.
Yeah. Well, who wouldn't?
Well, you drink Fred's piss, so
Yeah.
Yeah, well that's right.
Well, that's the question of the week sorted. Thanks for joining us on.
No, you didn't answer.
Well, I think you've won me over.
I think you'd eat the poo.
I was going
He was going to go for the poo.
but I think you've convinced me that I should take the piss.
Look, the urine won't make you sick. It might make you feel sick.
Pints a lot, though.
That's fine.
How
I
big's
drink
a feces, though? A plate of feces?
Potentially.
How big are we talking?
I've seen your logs. You snap
Yeah.
off big ones.
Yeah.
Don't be acting like you're like some dainty little flower over there.
Oh, it depends on the...
What if it's an ABB?
Well, it's all liquid then. It's kind of...
Ah,
Even easier to get down. No. I'd rather drink 3 pints of urine than eat a poo.
Okay.
Easy.
But 4?
How big are your
4.
poos, Campbell?
5. I don't care. The poo will make you sick.
So you'll have 100 pints of urine before you have 1 plate of...
Yes. Yes, I totally, definitely would. Because it won't make you sick. I don't want to get sick.
100 pints of urine would not make you feel sick.
I think I'd vom after a pint of urine, just personally.
Oh, look, what's the time limit? Surely
Yeah.
you could drink that over the course of a week.
Do you
or a
guys
year.
watch Man vs. Wild?
No.
Do you see the episode where he skinned a snake
Oh, I saw that.
and used the snake as like a condom? The snake of the skin as a condom. Pissed into it to fill up with urine to store water, his urine in it, then walked like 100 k's, then drank from it so it was no longer fresh and it had been stored in an empty snake skin. And he'd use it as like a water bottle, basically. But
Yeah.
it was urine.
And how did he go? Did he keep it down?
There was a bit of vom going on.
No way, really?
Yeah, it was one of the worst things he's ever done, I think. And there's also other circumstances in that show, if you remember it, where he was stung by all those bees, so his
Yeah.
whole head was
So
swollen
funny.
up. And I'm just like, this is the worst moment of any person's life ever. Like his head was swollen up
That was the
to a point where
shittest
he's
thing to do.
unrecognizable. He was in the middle of the desert. Only thing he had to drink was urine stored in a snake skin. It was just insane. Anyway,
Did he sign up for season 2?
he's always doing it, man.
In
Man.
season 2, he gave himself an enema with some dirty, pond water.
Why do you have to give it to the animal?
Just for the show. He didn't
Oh,
have
just
to. It's like, he came up, he was like on a desert island and he like had to get off the desert. So he made
Yeah.
himself this raft and he like set off to sea and like, fucking hell. And he like came across this like rock in the middle of the ocean and like he climbed up onto it and there was like some like, it was like covered in like, absolutely covered in bird shit.
Yeah.
And like there was some little like cracks with some like they were holding some water that was like absolutely full of bird shit. So there was this festy water, but he was like dehydrated. So he was like, "Oh shit, I can't drink this water. It's gonna make me ill." And so like in his backpack, he just happened to have like some silicone tubing, and so like he shoved it up his ass. Gave himself an enema with this dead water.
To give moisture into his body.
Yeah,
Oh,
because you
wow.
can put it up your butthole and like the bacteria in the water.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there was purpose to it. There's purpose to it.
I
Yeah.
thought he was just doing a big shit. And was like, oh, well, if I can't drink this water, I'm just going to shit myself to death. So he didn't give himself an enema. He used the tube, used his anus like a siphon.
Yeah.
So he siphoned up the water through his anus.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
See, that's pretty.
I got to watch that episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty
If we have
amazing.
show notes, I'll try and link to it.
But he just happened to have some tubing in his backpack.
And if he was dehydrated, surely his butt would be dehydrated too.
Yeah.
Or was it all sweaty? Maybe it was all sweaty and he just slipped it up.
Have you guys ever
next week.
have you guys, just before we go, have you guys ever tried rubbing like vodka on your sphincter to get drunk?
No.
No.
Something you might want to do before you die, not on your bucket list.
Before next week's podcast?
No, it's not on your bucket list though.
James, have
No,
you
See if it
ever,
works.
have
I'm
you ever
curious
done
to
that?
know if it works.
Well, why don't you try for next week's podcast?
James, I'm sure like an enema would be even better than.
What about a vodka?
Well,
enema?
Matt, our friend Matt's always talking about the qualities of an enema, but then we find out later the reason he's getting enema is so to make anal sex more pleasant. I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that. All right.
That's been Fangin' Around episode 2 or 3. I don't know if we can split it in half or not, but
How many episodes? Well, what was the first episode we did?
we were going to do D&D, but someone, maybe James Mack, didn't Skype in, so we just recorded a podcast randomly. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Where can we find you on the internet, Campbell?
You can find me at campbellwhite.com. That's WHYTE, white with a Y. You can see my illustrations and various other goodies there.
You can find me at www.google.com. Search for Harry.
It's just Harry.
Yeah.
Harry_yeah on Twitter.
Yeah, you can see
Me,
on
I'm
Twitter as
the
well.
guy called Tom on Twitter. And you're just Campbell White on Twitter.
I'm just Campbell White on Twitter. Yeah, you can see me there.
Thanks for tuning in for this epic episode of
Danke.
Fangin' Around. Hopefully we'll be back next week. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.